All right, so there's the music. So you know what that means, don't you, Stanley?
What does that mean, Gary Stein?
That means we're up and running, my man.
That's right. We're back together.
The boys
again.
are back in town.
That's right.
Hey, and also I'm going to throw out a date to you, okay?
Yeah.
June 8th, 2013. You have any idea what the significance of that date is?
Of course, that's when we met.
We actually met in, 87, 88,
Something
85.
Like that. Yeah.
Now, June 8th, 2013 is basically 9 years ago, I guess, or so. That was the last time that I hosted a sports talk show.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
Wow.
At CBS Radio. That was a Saturday.
But the public now has spoken.
And I'm
they
back.
want you back.
Yeah.
They want you back.
We are back along with...
Couldn't replace Glenn Clark with just anybody.
No,
you know?
they had to really dig deep. They had to
Yeah.
find the guy who hasn't done it for 9 years.
Yeah. So you'll be here every day now, right?
Basically 10 to 12 Monday.
10 to
You know,
12.
it's the Wally Pipp situation, right?
That's
One
right.
day and
That's right.
it's over.
That's right.
Griffin Bass here as well. Welcome into Glenn Clark Radio. Gary Stein, Stan the Fan. I have known Stan for 8 years, something like that. Can you imagine?
20, yeah.
Okay, it's got to be at least 86.
Yeah.
So 14 and 22, 36, 37 years. Yeah.
I was just reminiscing with a bunch of my old buddies. A couple of them, one of them has passed away. But we went to my cousin's parents owned a house in Margate, New Jersey on the beach.
Love it.
And we went in 1986, about 6 guys. It was my cousin Stuart, myself, Howard Boltanski, Mike Weisberg, Richard Mishullam, and Mike Scher. There's about 3 doctors in
Sounds
there.
like they have something all in common, too, by the way.
Yeah, we're all gambling degenerates when Atlantic City first got gaming back in, well, actually, Atlantic City had gaming since the mid-'70s. But we went up to stay at the beach house during the World Series of 1986.
Mets,
and we
Red
watched
Sox.
games 6 and 7 together, all of us.
Wow.
And somewhere in between there, I went to the casino for the first, it was like beginner's luck. My friend Howie and I, we won about $3,500 between us. We were playing blackjack together. For some reason, he and I partnered up, and we started playing at the $25. We won a little money, and then we played at the $25 table, and we played for about 3 or 4 hours, and we really together, we were both hot, and we won.
So
$3,500.
So now that you mentioned the '86 World Series, I just want to see if this means anything to Griffin Bass.
Yeah,
because
Griffin Bass wasn't born yet.
Yeah, Griffin. How old are you? 22. 22. So I'm 61.
Yeah.
Stan, well, forget that. But anyway, you're about 40 years.
Forget it. I'm 70. I'll be
70.
71.
What does the name Bill Buckner mean to you, Griffin?
Oh, he's the guy that missed the ground ball.
Okay.
Through his legs. Yeah.
Right.
That was the '86 World Series.
That was the '86 World Series.
Okay.
It was Game 6.
And who hit that ball?
It was somebody on the Mets, right?
Yeah, it was somebody
Very
on the
good.
Mets.
Very good. Who pitched that pitch?
No idea.
Bob Stanley pitched
Bob
the pitch.
Stanley
and
pitched to Mookie Wilson, and
yeah.
Gary Carter scored.
Yeah.
And that was Game 6.
Yep.
Right? The Red Sox were up 3-2, and that would have clinched the World Series right there.
Yep.
And then, of course, they come back Game 7, and the Mets win it, and the rest is history.
Yep.
And then the Red Sox had to wait till what, 04, 03? I think it was 04.
04.
They finally won that World
yeah.
Series. All right, hey, big show for you today. Big sports weekend for everybody right here and for the sports in general. We'll talk about that. But just a little bit on what's coming up later in the show. 10:20 this morning, we'll talk with Mike Haas, the play-by-play voice of the New Orleans Saints. Ravens are, of course, in New Orleans tonight for the big Monday nighter against the Saints. That's a big game for New Orleans in a bad division. They need to keep pace with the Falcons and the Buccaneers. And, of course, it's a huge game for the Ravens, as every game is, but especially going into the bye and with what most people, Stan, consider a pretty soft second-half schedule. This would be a huge win today tonight.
It's not just thought by a lot of people. It's been, they ran a scroll yesterday that the Ravens have the easiest schedule the remainder of the year. The combined winning percentage of the teams we're playing from here on out. I can't think of a game that the Ravens may not be favored in except the last game of the year against Cincinnati. In Cincinnati.
Yep, and I think that's true. And so the Ravens tonight in New Orleans, that is Monday Night Football. I think the game starts, 8:20 or so, 8:15 p.m. 10:40 this morning, we'll talk with Jerry Hairston Jr., former Oriole. Now he's a broadcaster for the Dodgers Sports Network in Los Angeles. World Series, of course, is over. Houston over Philadelphia, 6 games. They won it on Saturday night. Basically, they powered their way. We can talk about that with Jerry Hairston. First ever Super Bowl World Series win for Dusty Baker. Now he's won it as a player and a manager.
Yep.
Jerry Hairston Jr. played for Dusty Baker when he was a member of the Cincinnati Reds in 2008. Stan, I know you're a big baseball guy. What's your thought on the Astros winning their second World Series in 5 years?
Well, very happy, as everybody in baseball is, for Dusty Baker. This will probably put him in the Hall of Fame in the next couple of years. I think you'll see Dusty Baker.
Shouldn't he have been in the Hall of Fame even without it, or no?
Well, actually, they don't name you to the Hall of Fame unless you're retired.
Yeah.
So he's had a lot of work. That's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. But his resume now is kind of complete. It was a very entertaining World Series. You know, it's funny, they played 6 games. There's probably only one of the 6 games, maybe 2 of the 6 games, Game 6 and Game 1, were really exciting games. You know, unless I'm forgetting, was Game 5 exciting?
Game 5 was what the Astros won. It came down to the.
That was a pretty good. That was a pretty good
yeah.
game. But the intensity of this series with the 2 fan bases made it very entertaining to me. You know, and what happens a lot of times is you come into a series, a short series like 7 games, and you have somebody you choose. We can't let this guy beat us, and those guys were frankly. Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, and Alex Bregman, you know. And the guy that beat him time and time again was Jeremy Pena.
MVP of the World Series.
MVP of the World Series. And I have to admit, Casey Stern, who's no longer on Sirius XM, you know, MLB Network, he really went on a rag on Twitter about how ridiculous it was to bring in Alvarado against Jordan Alvarez when Wheeler was still kind of dealing in the game, and he amplified it by making the point, and it's a good point, that Alvarez hits lefties actually better than right-handers. And I think he had hit Alvarado fairly well in the series already on a couple other occasions. It was a little bit questionable, but the better team really won. You know, the Phillies were exposed. Their 2 key starters didn't pitch that great. You know, Nola had 2 starts, didn't pitch well, and Wheeler pitched well, just not good enough.
So when you say their weaknesses were exposed, are you talking about the fact that in free agency they went out and got a bunch of offensive players and really didn't address defense and pitching all that much? Is that what you're saying?
Well, General Manager Dave Dombrowski, when he fired Joe Girardi, he then went out and made a couple moves. He traded for Brandon Marsh, who is an excellent defensive center fielder, and he moved. What's his first name? I got it wrong.
Bryson Stott.
Bryce Stott.
Yeah.
Bryson Stott at shortstop, and he's very much better defensively than Didi Gregorius was, and then they let Didi Gregorius go. What I found most telling was there was one at bat when the Phillies really had it going in the bottom of the 8th inning on Friday night. Right? Was that the game I'm thinking?
Saturday.
No. The
Friday they were
That
off.
was Game 6.
Yeah.
So it was Game 5 in
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia when they had it going and had come within 3-2. They had runners on first and third and 1 out, and manager Rob Thompson had nobody else to put up other than Brandon Marsh, who was in the lineup, and he struck out, I think, on 3 or 4 pitches. Never came close to hitting one of Presley's curveballs. And I was ranting about it, and it turned out what he's got on his roster is Brandon Marsh probably was the best player he had on his roster. They were really deficient in having depth pieces, which is interesting because the Orioles made a move this week in signing Jake Cave, which seems like a very small move, But when you look at how teams can get better, Jake Cave will bat. He's a left-handed hitter. He'll bat predominantly 95% of the at-bats he'll get next year will be against right-handed pitching. His on-base percentage is .319. And when you start trying to increase your on-base percentage from .305 to something respectable, you don't do it just by one or two hitters. You got to do it throughout your roster. And I think it's a smart little move. But, again, an entertaining World Series. The other guy who got the monkey off his back is Justin Verlander.
I was just about to say it.
It was 0-6 in World Series history, and he finally got his first win.
First win for Justin Verlander, first World Series championship as a manager for Dusty Baker. Of course, he won it with the Dodgers as a player back in 1981, so kudos and congratulations to the Astros. One more quick thing on the Astros. We know, of course, 17 and 18. They won it in 17, then they got accused, and it was found out that they did steal signs, etc. What does this World Series win kind of say about that organization after the debacle?
Yeah, I think this team needs to be treated with a lot more respect than those teams back in 17 and 18. You know, This World Series isn't tainted at all. They only have, I think, like 3 players: Bregman, Altuve, and maybe Gurriel. Gurriel. There are only 3 players from that team. There's no hint that the trash cans are banging anymore. They're a real good team. But, you know, I wrote a piece for Pressbox Online last night that Luke, our editor, is under the weather. So I don't know if it's up yet or not. But the Orioles aren't that far away from what the Phillies and Astros did offensively. You know, over 162 games, we scored 60 runs less than the Astros and 70 runs less than the Phillies. Over 162 games, that's not that, you know, it's like probably 0.4 runs a game difference, you know. So we're getting in the zip code of the better teams. But that on-base percentage, you can't score runs with a .305 on-base percentage, which is what the Orioles have.
All right, we got a lot to go over in the NFL, by the way. Don't forget.
What a weekend in football.
Yeah,
wow.
10:20 this morning. Mike Hoss, the play-by-play guy for the Saints, will be joining us. 10:40, Jerry Hairston Jr., who played for Dusty Baker back in 2008, former Oriole, will be with us to talk about the World Series. 11:30 this morning, Jeremy Conn.
Will be on to tell us how he was right about everything.
Basically, which he always is. But I want to bring Griffin Bass in here before we get to the NFL stuff.
He was behind the mic on one of the biggest sports stories in these parts. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I was?
He was behind the mic for Concordia Prep.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, he was.
Prep.
And he was also on the mic for Boys Latin
Boys
St.
Latin
Paul's
St.
on
Paul's,
Friday night
at
Johnny United Stadium.
Super great game between the two rivals, Boys Latin and St. Paul's. We got to meet myself and Miles Goodman. We got to see Coach Richie Shell from Boys Latin. Got to see him off into retirement. It was a really good atmosphere. That nice of Towson to let them use their. Well, you know, I'm sure they compensated Towson, but
of course.
But it was nice that they got to play at Johnny Unitas.
They compensated me too.
They did, really?
There,
yeah, no, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
But Griffin, you're kind of bursting onto the scene a little bit.
Oh, you
here
think
now
so?
with you. I don't know. Hey, look, this is a talk show. I got to find things to talk about. Okay. But no, seriously though, you got the Concordia gig doing some high school football.
Yes.
You're getting some additional high school football.
Yeah,
I know you're doing some Stevenson sports as well. So
kudos
to you,
my
man.
Yep, definitely. But yeah, some MIAA high school football action over the weekend that I got to be a part of. Very fun as they turn their gears towards playoffs. So, Concordia Prep.
Just a full disclosure here. Griffin's dad, who unfortunately passed away years ago, was one of my best friends, if not my best friend. And I just got to tell you, from a personal standpoint, for a minute, Griffin, you have no idea what it means to see you here in this situation. So
Thanks.
Thank you. Yep, gotcha.
And that's how he came to Press Boxes, through you.
Yeah.
And he was one of our producers on the Bat-Around.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was pre-pandemic by about 6 months.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
And then when the pandemic came, we stopped sort of doing. I didn't go in live, and then I gave that gig up. You know.
All right, NFL talk. We'll get with Mike Hoss in just a minute, but before we get to Saints Ravens tonight, Stanley, let's go over, and Griffin, let's go over some of the stuff that happened yesterday in the NFL. What a day it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a great Sunday to be at your TV, no matter how you consume these games. Let's just start with Jets and Bills for a minute, although you could pick 5 games that you could start with. Who thought the Jets would be able to upset Buffalo? They actually come back and win that game. Stan, you're raising your hand on this one? What are you talking about?
No, I didn't think the Jets had any.
Okay, so the question is, are the Jets legit or what?
The Jets they're pretty good. I don't think they get good enough quarterback play consistently to really be any kind of threat at this point in time. And I don't know that Zach Wilson is a long time. I don't know. I'm not a scout. If it's baseball, I can scout pretty well. Football, I don't know if do you think he's a guy that could lead a team in 2 or 3 years to be a contender?
I mean, in 2 or 3 years, perhaps. I think the jury's out. But I think your point is right. He's not that guy now.
No.
You're not going to put him in the category of, Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson or any of these, guys that have been around for
Tom
like 2
Brady
or 3 years.
or Aaron Rodgers.
But you got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, the Jets came back in that game. Their defense was terrific in the second half of that game, and they deal Buffalo their second loss.
Robert Saleh has them heading in the right direction.
Defensive oriented coach, which brings up the issue. Miami won yesterday.
Yep.
The Jets beat Buffalo yesterday. New England won yesterday. I'm not going to necessarily put New England in that class right at the moment, but could this be a pretty good division right now in terms of the 8 divisions in the league?
I think you could argue that it might be the NFL's strongest division right now. You and I were also talking before the show about the NFL East with the
Dallas,
with Philadelphia,
yeah.
Dallas, the Giants, all playing, and the Redskins 4 and 5, not like 2 and 6 or 2 and 7. So that division is very good. And I'll tell you what's a surprising division right now, but because the Rams are they're 3 and 5 right now. The Rams, right? Am I right? 3 and 5.
The Rams are
Yes.
3 and 5. Because of them, that division isn't as strong. But the Seattle Seahawks are leading that division. That's hard to believe.
Seattle 6-3. They're getting good play from Geno Smith. Kenny Walker, their running back, has come in for
Where did
Rashad
he
Penny
play
and done
college?
a great job.
Michigan?
I don't even know.
Kenneth Walker?
Yeah.
Oklahoma, I believe.
Oklahoma.
See, that's why we need Griffin, because he knows all that stuff. Like we're
I got lucky on that
Well,
one.
but let me see if he's right.
Well, but also, Griffin, I want to make a point to you, by the way. There was a time in football, because I know you're only, how old,
22.
22. There was a time in football where the Patriots were not the best team in the East every year. There was a time in football when Miami actually dominated that division. There was a time in football where Buffalo actually went to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row.
What?
You may not even know
I don't
that.
believe that.
They did. They didn't win any of them, okay?
By the way.
And believe it or not, there was a time where the Jets, once in a while, were pretty good.
By the way, though, you're asking him as if he's an expert. I said Michigan.
Right.
Yeah,
He
you
said
were.
Oklahoma.
I
It's
was
Michigan
wrong.
State University.
So you're both wrong.
We were both wrong. I don't know
But
why
at
I
least
thought
I was
Oklahoma.
in the right
Closer.
state. Yeah.
Hey, one more game to get to before we check in with Mike Haas. And again, there were 4 or 5 games yesterday that you could circle. And it doesn't mean anything for Detroit because they still stink. But what about the Packers losing to Detroit? A couple of bad interceptions for Aaron Rodgers at the goal line. 5 straight losses for the first time in 13 years for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, it's about NFL economics. Aaron Rodgers kind of threatened that he wanted to be traded, so they've sort of sucked up to him, gave him a gigantic contract at his age, which may not be the smartest thing in the world. And, it's what happens in the NFL when you pay one player that much money. The first thing they had to do was turn around and trade Devontae Adams. And now he doesn't have receivers, although Lazar played a tremendous game yesterday.
But he doesn't have anybody.
Yeah, he doesn't really have anybody.
Now, but the irony is that they have 2 good backs in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, but when you can't throw the ball, when you're the Packers, your best weapon is going to be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
When he doesn't have any weapons.
It was pretty staggering when they showed on the screen his number of interceptions per season, and then he's had seasons where he's had like 5 interceptions, 7 interceptions, and he had 3 yesterday, including, as you said, 2 in the near the goal line.
And one of them by Aiden Hutchinson, the big lineman out of Michigan. He was trying to throw to his offensive lineman on a backdoor play, and Hutchinson sniffed it out.
One of the great moments, and I know we got Mike Haas coming up in just a second, but one of the great moments yesterday, though, was when the Buccaneers did come back to win that game over the Rams. That hug between Brady and Byron Leftwich, his offensive coordinator.
Sweet.
It was really, really nice.
Brady threw 58 times yesterday, and as Jim Nantz said, didn't throw a touchdown pass until the very end. And also, in case you missed it last night, Kansas City comes back and beats Tennessee in overtime 2017. And Patrick Mahomes
threw how many?
68 times, which is not the record. The record is 70 by Drew Bledsoe against Minnesota back in the 90s. But still 68 times, one touchdown pass. But really it was Mahomes' legs last night that carried Kansas City to that win. That was a 93-yard drive late in the fourth quarter that tied up the game.
Including a third and, I think it was like 24, third and 26, where he escaped and scrambled and got the first down. It was absolutely unbelievable.
So Kansas City over Tennessee last night. Tennessee, by the way, Ryan Tannehill did not play for the Titans last night. Malik Willis, the rookie out of Liberty, 5 for 16, 80 yards total. Derrick Henry really is their only option right now, 115 yards and a couple of touchdowns for Tennessee. We have him? We do. Mike Haas joining us, the play-by-play voice of the New Orleans Saints. Mike, you're on with Gary Stein and Stan the Fan along with Griffin Bass. How are you today?
I am well. Heading into the Superdome here in a little bit and get this day started.
All right, so you get there early, right? I mean, the game's not till, 7 o'clock of your time tonight, right?
Yeah, but I have two jobs. I work for the radio station doing play-by-play, but I'm also the manager of media relations for the Superdome. So
Gotcha.
I get to go do job one first, and then I'll do job two.
So how many years have you been doing the play-by-play for the Saints?
Oh, let's see. Let me go back. This is my second year. I am the oldest rookie out there, just about.
Really?
All came very late in my career. Yeah.
Okay. How did it happen? Because usually it doesn't go that way.
You're right. You're right. No, I worked behind who was the iconic play-by-play for years, Jim Henderson, who did it. We both worked in local television, and then when he retired, I was up for the job in 2017, and Zach Strief got it, the former player and great guy. And then last year, right after the 20 season, he decided he was going to go into coaching. So they gave me a call. And so I did it last year, was year one. This is my second year. So you're right. It's rare to get one bite at the apple and enormously rare to get two bites at the apple.
Exactly.
At this juncture.
Mike, I just want to warn you on this show, the producer who called you to get you on the air and book you, Griffin Bass, is an aspiring play-by-play guy.
Watch out, Mike.
And Gary Stein is a play-by-play guy. So I'm the only guy you'll be talking to in the next 10 minutes who's not after your job. I just wanted to warn you that.
No, it's understandable. I get it a lot. So don't, believe me, I'm used to it.
Hey, I wanted to just ask you your impressions early in this, at the halfway point just about, of Dennis Allen as a head coach. Had one other chance once before with the Raiders when he was a really young buck. Didn't succeed. Your impressions of him?
It's about like it was when he was defensive coordinator. He's a very low-key kind of guy on the sidelines. It's not that he's not passionate, but he's been around this team, 06 through, 11, then went to Denver, and then the years with the Raiders. And then he came back, as in 15 and 16 and has been DC ever since. So he's been around such a long time. My impression is he's doing about what I expected to do. The defense has not played up to its expectations until last week. Offensively, they've done well if you want to subtract 16 turnovers, because to me, if you have 16 turnovers, who really cares what the next question is?
Right, exactly.
If you have 16, what's the point? So I don't know that I lay that on him. I think it's been a little bumpy because of the defense just hasn't played up to its expectations, but just getting 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions. But other than that, I feel like they've, in the last couple of games, the Cincinnati game, did everything that you're supposed to do, win the turnover battle, ran for 250 and lost. It's the turnovers that have really blighted this team.
We're talking with Mike Haas, the play-by-play man, second year now, play-by-play man for the New Orleans Saints, Ravens, and Saints tonight at the Superdome. Mike, let's talk about a little of those bumps. Some of those bumps have occurred off the field, and I wonder if they're going to influence what happens on the field. I'm talking about Michael Thomas now, apparently out for the year with a toe injury. He's having surgery. Alvin Kamara, he's got some legal troubles, etc. I know he's going to play tonight. But what about those bumps? Do they – and, this isn't your father's Saints with Sean Payton and Drew Brees anymore. Just talk about the culture and what that means for the on-the-field stuff.
I think the culture's okay. I think the Mike Thomas situation, Mike Thomas has, since he signed his extension, I think he's played in like 13 games. He has been, his bumps have been more bumps and bruises and just hasn't been able to get back into the lineup. When he got back into the lineup at the start of this season, made 3 touchdowns in the first 3 games. So he can still play at this level. He just can't stay healthy. It was a surprise to me that they didn't put him automatically on IR with a dislocated toe, but they decided to try to see if it would heal on its own. So, and now he's gone for the year. In the meantime, you've had a guy like Chris Olave, a rookie, step up and become outstanding. And another rookie, Rashid Shaheed, who they probably didn't even think would play this year, and is now one of your better receivers and a key return man. I don't think the Alvin situation legally will play itself out this season. I got a feeling it'll be more impactful either off season and next season. We'll have to wait and see. But Alvin has been really more of a key leader this year than I've seen in any of his years here, from a vocal standpoint, a locker room guy. And so I think that's been important. The bumps in the road, we'll have to wait and see. Thomas, does he come back? And it's been a while since he's been on the field for a considerable amount of games, and we'll have to wait and see on the Alvin situation. Believe me, this team, because of everything, does not look beyond. They're not even thinking about Pittsburgh right now. It's Baltimore and Baltimore only.
So, and we're talking with Mike Huss, the play-by-play guy for the New Orleans Saints tonight. It's Ravens and Saints. You talk about the defense, and it's not just playing up to par. How much of that is Marshawn Lattimore being out, or is it deeper than that?
I think initially it was a big part of it when you didn't have Marshawn, and Marcus May was just coming back. You had Chris Harris, who was just kind of brought into the organization. And then you didn't have Paulson Adebo in Arizona. So all of a sudden you got Alontae Taylor, your second-round draft pick, starting against Arizona. And, hey, welcome to the NFL. Here's DeAndre Hopkins. But so since that game, now he's got a game under his belt. Paulson Adebo came back. They should get P.J. Williams back, the veteran cornerback. And so I think they've kind of weathered that storm a little bit. Of course, yeah, you want Marshawn back, but he's not even practicing. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And I think the ability to get Alontae Taylor, I think, is going to be a really good player. Some time, Adebo back, P.J. Williams back. When they lost, they were pretty hurting there for a while. They lost Bradley Roby to IR. Marshawn, P.J. was out to IR. Paulson, that's 4 DBs who are typically in your starting rotation in some capacity, nickel, dime. And so that was tough to overcome. So in the interim, I think they've done pretty well.
Mike, I wanted to turn to the quarterback situation there. It looked at the beginning of the season, I don't know if Dennis Allen would wave his hand up in the air and say, yes, I'm in the Jameis Winston camp or not. But Winston had some injuries. Now the position seems to be a mix of Dalton and Taysom Hill. Is Winston close to coming back? And when he comes back, will he get the shot at being the starting quarterback there?
He's back.
Okay.
Excuse me. He's back. He's been healthy since the Arizona game. And that was a conscious decision by Dennis Allen that he felt that just Andy Dalton gave this team a better chance to win. No, Jameis has been healthy for a couple of weeks. For whatever, he just feels, and Andy has moved the ball very well in all of the games. It's just the turnovers in Arizona. But last week was the typical game that the Saints want out of Dalton. No interceptions, 73% completion, 22 of 30. Didn't have to throw it a ton. He hasn't been sacked in 2 games. It's efficiency. And if you have some efficiency offensively and don't turn the ball over 16 times, you can be in a lot of games. And the defense was unbelievable against the Raiders, who came in as just this juggernaut offensively, and
Yeah.
just, wasn't their day. But when you got a defense like the Saints have, you don't have to have the greatest offense. You just can't turn the ball over every other down.
So how many snaps will Taysom Hill take tonight behind center? Or will he just
I would
be
say,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, behind center?
Yeah, behind center.
Probably 13, somewhere around between 10 and 13. It's been increasing a lot, but not so much as behind, under center or shotgun. He's just been playing more.
Yeah.
He'd be playing more. He averaged 36% of the offensive snaps last week, but only had 10 runs.
Okay.
So there's 13 plays that he's in there, threw it once. But that, to me, is the best part of Taysom, is that if you just put him in there in these obvious 3rd and 2 and go QB power right, okay, well, first of all, the other team's going to eventually, they already know it's coming. Yeah. And sometimes they stop it, but most times they don't. But now if he's on the field so often, you it kind of just becomes part of it. And I think that's been the best part, is that he's out there so much now, you don't go, oh, there's Taysom.
Right. It's not as obvious. Yeah.
Right, and he's done much better. He's just, he throws when he has to throw. He's not just running QB power, ran some QB sweeps last week, and you got to keep him off balance, because he can be a big weapon just as a decoy.
Hey, Mike, let me talk some X's and O's with you on defense for a second. The Saints under Dennis Allen are not a particularly big blitzing team. They rush 4 pretty much most of the time. I think they're the 29th out of 32 teams in blitz rate. My question is, with Lamar Jackson, one of the ways that he's been stopped in the recent past is when teams blitz, and blitz unconventionally. My question is, do the Saints change it up tonight, or is it just not Dennis Allen's style to blitz the quarterback that much?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a lot of corner safety blitzes tonight. I think what they'll probably do is go 5 down linemen. The Saints do put a lot of pressure on with 4. That's been kind of, if you can do that with your 4, then you're in pretty good shape. The numbers then are in your favor. With Lamar, I think that attitude that has been successful. It's such a feast or famine, that he's so good and so talented. If you don't hit, then he's gonna take it off and run for 40. So I think we'll see more of a 5 down lineman situation, and just still put pressure on him, but keep him in front of you. Don't let him get on the other side. Now they'll blitz some. They'll blitz Warner or DeMario, but I would be surprised. I'm not saying none, but I'd be surprised if we see a ton of corner safety blitzes tonight.
And so if you're a Ravens fan tonight, Mike, you know that Isaiah Likely is going to take over basically from Mark Andrews in terms of the pass-catching tight end.
He's out of the game.
He's
Andrews.
out, yeah. And if you're a Ravens fan, you may not know the fact that the Saints are the best team in the NFL defending against the tight end in passing situations. The question is, who are the defenders that Ravens fans should be looking at tonight that cover the tight ends well for the Saints?
Pete Werner. Pete Werner is going to be one of them. DeMario Davis. I mean, the Saints use a lot of 2 linebacker situation. The problem with your team is that you use a lot of 21 and 22 personnel.
Sure.
So you've got Ricard in there the whole time, just about, and you'll have Ricard and sometimes 2 tight ends, even with Andrews out. So that creates a unique situation, because you've always got Lamar as this other running back. So you'll have, Ricard and a tight end and a running back. And so it's a weird kind of big system. So that to me is where the Saints, I've never seen a team that runs as much of that 21 and 22 personnel, because of the players that you have, especially to keep your fullback in as much as he does. He doesn't catch the ball, he doesn't run the ball very often, but he is your lead blocker and on your power runs. And I think between him and Isaiah, who I think is going to be an enormous talent, I guess the question would be what Nick Boyle hasn't caught a pass. Oliver's only caught 5. Is it just going to be, if it's just Isaiah, I think the Saints can handle that with their linebackers. If you had Andrews, that's where the problem comes. When you got Isaiah, Patrick Ricard, and Andrews, it's like having 3 tight ends.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to have to find ways, and they have found ways to get Devin Duvernay into that Deebo Samuel type role. Hey, Mike, a couple quick questions before we let you go. We're talking with Mike Haas, the play-by-play voice of the New Orleans Saints, Ravens and Saints tonight on Monday Night Football. Mike, the division you guys play in, it's the only one in the NFL that doesn't have a team that's above 500. What's going on? I mean, what do you think about the division and the race right now?
I think it's awesome.
Of course you do.
I think it's the greatest division ever. I can't believe the Rams screwed us yesterday and allowed Tampa to win that game. Yeah, it's been rough. You know, they started out, the Saints did anyway. The Saints played their first 3 games in the division, which I think is just horrendous. I'm not a fan of that. So they played a lot of division games on the front 5 games, and then they don't play them forever until the end of the season. And it's just, for whatever reason, and then next week we have Atlanta and Carolina playing again, so somebody else is going to get a loss. I guess, you know, clearly the biggest surprise, I mean, the Saints wished they were better, hope they are better, feel like they're a better team. The biggest surprise is Tampa. I don't think anybody thought Atlanta would be that good or Carolina would be that good. That was before the implosion. The biggest surprise, I think, would be Tampa. And at 4-5, and it just, I don't know. I see them play. I watched you guys play them, and they looked like the old Tampa team in the first half. And in the second half, they look like, you know, a team I've never seen before. Couldn't stop the run. So it's interesting. I mean, the Saints still have to play them all. Everybody still pretty much, other than Carolina, can control their own destiny because we all have 3 games with each other left. And so it's going to be interesting. But it's been a blessing because when you're 2-5 and 1-4 out of the box, and yet you're a game out of first place in some cases, it kind of keeps your head high, keeps you in the game without going, oh my God, we're done, right? Because there have been years that if you're 2-5 out of the box, man, you're done.
Hey, Mike, we're talking with Mike Haas, play-by-play voice of the New Orleans Saints. Last question for you. You've covered the Saints for a long time, so you know Sean Payton pretty well. Will he be back at the head of some football team next year?
I think so. I don't know who it'll be.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if it's the right situation with the GM situation and him, I think the TV thing was just a road stop.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I think he's looking at what's the best situation. He's already said that, he kind of misses it and that he would like to see, you know, get back, and he misses the team aspect of it. So, my opinion is I do believe he will be back in coaching next year, if not very soon.
Mike, we really appreciate you coming on today. Have a good call tonight. Saints and Ravens on Monday Night Football, my friend.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Speak to you down the road. Mike Haas, the play-by-play voice, second year for the Saints down in New Orleans. We'll take a time out here. First, though, we want to tell you we're brought to you by the Baltimore area Chick-fil-A restaurants, inviting you to support Toys for Tots this coming Saturday, November 12th. Donate a new toy at any of their 13 Stuff the Truck locations and receive a free sandwich offer card as a thank you. For more info, visit PressBoxOnline.com/toy drive. Also, online sports betting will be starting in Maryland the next few weeks. PressBox is your source for the best offers and sign-up incentives. Starting now, you can get a $100 pre-registration credit from our friends at FanDuel by going to PressBoxOnline.com/offers.
That's a good offer.
It is a good offer. The $100 credit is in addition to the new user promo you will get when they go live. Just go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers now to get $100 for a FanDuel pre-registration bonus credit. That's PressBoxOnline.com/offers. And coming soon, the all-new Ginsu Kumato Grill, the perfect ceramic tailgate or home grill to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all kinds of food. Get the details and reserve yours today at ginsugrills.com. Use the code TAILGATE to get $100 off your order. When we return, one of the nicest Orioles to ever cover, Jerry Hairston Jr., will join us. We'll talk about Dusty Baker, the World Series, his time playing for Dusty Baker, and what he's doing now when we return.
Receive a free Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich offer card as a thank you when you donate to Toys for Tots on Saturday, November 12th at any of the 13 Baltimore area Chick-fil-A Stuff the Truck event sites. Be one of the first 50 people to donate, and you will also get a free t-shirt. For a location list and more information, visit PressBoxOnline.com/Toy Drive.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, New Maryland basketball coach Kevin Willard sits down with Stan Charles and Glenn Clark to discuss the situation he inherited in College Park and how he plans to get the program turned around. Also, inside, we introduce you to men's and women's college basketball players from all of the teams in the area. And Bo Smoka profiles Ravens receiver Devin Duvernay. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Join Glenn at halftime of every Ravens game for the Project Game Day halftime show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. We apologize in advance. There's not much we can do about his face.
Yeah, he's a studio analyst on Spectrum.
Back at you here, Gary Stein along with Stan the Fan, Griffin Bass. Also with us as we continue Glenn Clark Radio here on a Monday morning. What's today's date? The 7th? The 8th of November? I don't know. I think it's the 7th, actually. Hey, Griffin, make sure Stan's potted up because I don't know, maybe not hearing him too well.
It's the 7th, yeah.
7th. All right. Are we good to
Tomorrow's
go?
voting day.
We will talk to Jerry Hairston in about 2 or 3 minutes, okay?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Voting day tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the 8th. That's right.
Tuesday the 8th.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you what. Thank God it's tomorrow already. I can't, you know. I mean, this is all we've been hearing about for the last 6 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and make some decisions as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Hey, so now that we've concluded with Mike Haas, what do you think about the Ravens tonight against the Saints?
It's without Andrews and without likely Gus Edwards is not going to play.
No, I think he's already out. He's
out.
Yes.
I didn't see it listed as out, but it was doubtful yesterday. So it's going to be a tough game. This is a game. If Lamar wants to be paid what he wants to be paid for, this is a game
I agree.
He needs to win for his team, because they're down 2 key players.
I totally agree with that, and I think that it is going to be a tough game. I think the Saints' defense rose to the occasion last week against the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are that great, by the way, but still.
They're not.
But still, to shut out a team that's got Carr and Devontae Adams and a pretty good running back in Josh Jacobs, I don't think the Raiders ran a play past midfield until maybe the second to last play of the game or something like that last week. That's pretty impressive. So I do think the matchups favor the Ravens, but those injuries will definitely affect that game tonight.
You know, it's fascinating. Josh Danielson, the head coach of the, he had one shot at being a head coach with the Denver Broncos, didn't have a great ideal quarterback situation. He doesn't again. I think he's got they have a tough decision to make, in my opinion. I don't think Derek Carr is the guy.
You know, he's up and down.
He's very inconsistent. The fact that he couldn't put together one more drive in that game to get 3 or 7 points. They were ahead, 20-10, and they lost, I think, 27-20.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, he didn't put up a point in the second half.
And Adams had such a huge first half; he was basically not heard about in the second half. That's right. That was another big game I wanted to talk about. Yeah. The Jags coming back and beating the Raiders. You know, that's something I'll tell you. It really is. I know Ravens fans have seen it firsthand. Fourth quarter comebacks against the Ravens, but if you look around the league this year,
there's more of them.
So many more comebacks than I ever remember from double digits in the fourth quarter or late in the third, 13, 14, sometimes 17 points. Even last night, and it wasn't a shock that Kansas City came back and beat Tennessee. That was an 8-point deficit. But Tennessee's defense was lights out all night long until that big last drive by Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City.
It turned out they were on the field so much because of the quarterback, what's his name,
Malik Willis.
I'll get him right.
Eventually, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. Malik Willis.
You know what? We can practice during the break.
I will.
Okay.
Malik.
Yeah.
M-A-L-I-K.
Very good.
Malik. Okay.
Yeah. Nobody said he couldn't spell.
He was so ineffectual last night. Just awful.
Yeah, 5 for 16, 80 yards. And even more than just 5 for 16. There were a couple of times where they'd roll him out, so he's got the option. Too quickly he went to the run.
Right.
You know, he wasn't patient at all. But look, it's only his second game.
Right.
You know,
the speed of the game picks you up, especially on the road.
Absolutely, in Kansas City, no less. On a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Griffin Bass, what do you got over there?
Waiting for Jerry to call us back.
Okay.
He was in the middle of a little something, but yeah, we'll talk to Jerry in a couple minutes.
It's 3 hours earlier over there. You sure we should have called him at 10:40 in the morning? I mean,
yeah, he was
7:40 there. He's in L.A., right?
He's
in L.A.
I believe so. Yeah.
You know, they don't get up early out there.
What a life he's got.
The only person I know that gets up early out there is my daughter, and the reason why is because she lives on the West Coast, but she works
for
in
an East Coast company.
Correct. She works an East Coast schedule.
So what she gets up at like 4?
She gets up at 4:30, which is 7:30 our time.
Wow.
She starts working at 5 a.m. And then she's done working at 1 p.m. her time.
Oh, now you're
and
talking.
She's got the rest of her day.
So I have a friend living out in L.A. right now, and so I offered him a trade yesterday morning where I was going to send him Justin Fields for just a backup running back, just help anchor my bench. But he didn't wake up until after the game started.
So you played Fields?
Yeah. So I actually didn't play Fields because I have Geno Smith, so I played Geno Smith. It's okay because I won.
Yeah.
But either way, he could have had Justin Fields, who had an
a
unbelievable
40-point game yesterday.
Yes, he did. And then after the games had started, he texted me back. He's like, "Hey, is that offer still on the table?" And I was like, "No, I don't.
Well, actually, the price has just gone up.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I could still move him, just not for the original price.
That kid is a terrific talent. Justin Fields.
He really is. I think he's got to become a better passer. Which
no question.
Hopefully he will. But as far as running the football and creating havoc on the field, he really is.
I like that coach.
The Bears head coach?
Yeah, the Bears head coach.
Oh, God, I wish
is
I
that
knew his name.
Eberflus?
Yeah.
Matt
Eberflus.
Yeah.
Eberflus.
Yeah, Eberflus.
There's
we can practice.
There's a every year in the NFL there's like 8 or 9 new coaches,
Yeah.
But the names that are coming up now in this, over the last couple of years are so unfamiliar to me. It's hard.
Sirianni,
Brandon
Arthur Smith.
Yeah, Brandon Staley. I know he's been there for a couple of years, but who are these guys? Back in the day, you knew.
Landry,
well, back those days,
Shula.
right? But I'm saying later on. I'm saying when the Sean Paytons of the world came up,
Andy Reid.
Yeah, like for instance, who's the head coach of the Dolphins? Do you know who the head coach of the Dolphins
Mike
is?
McDonald.
Okay,
yeah,
it's Mike McDaniel, isn't it?
Mike McDaniel.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike McDonald is the Ravens defensive coordinator.
Yeah. But they're close.
Yeah,
it's close.
Those guys are confusing.
I'll work on it.
Please. Yeah. You want to practice in the break?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll practice.
Patrick Ricard. Anyway.
Actually, the Ravens used to have a fullback whose name was Ricard. Alan Ricard.
That's right.
And it was
Alan
pronounced
Ricard.
that way.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Speaking of that, the Ravens have had some fullbacks.
Right.
Sam Gash. Fonte Leach.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are like best in class.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even Alan Ricard for a while was pretty good.
But now they got Patrick Ricard.
Well, or Patrick Ricard, you know,
Right.
either way. All right, we got him?
They call him that down in New Orleans.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to switch our focus here from Monday Night Football to the World Series and the baseball in general. Of course, that concluded last night, the Astros over the Phillies in 6 games. Joining us now from Spectrum Sportsnet in Los Angeles, one of our favorite Orioles, his time back here, back in the early 2000s, Jerry Hairston Jr., who played under Dusty Baker back in 2008 as a member of the Cincinnati Reds. Jerry, how are you? You're up with Gary Stein, Stan the Fan, and Griffin Bass.
Hey, guys. How you doing? I'm doing well.
Doing good, thank you. So, hey, I just wanted to get your thought real quick, and I know you're 3 hours behind us, so good morning to you. Just overall, Astros now 2 World Series wins in 5 years. What about that franchise? What about what they did this year?
Well, I don't know if it's 2 World Series. I mean, technically you can say 2. This one obviously is legit, without question. Obviously, the 2017, I think everybody's in agreement that was a little bit tainted. Even a couple of players that played on that team feel that in 2017 when they won, they can't really wear their rings proudly. That being said, they're legit champions, no question about it. You know, when you have Dusty Baker as your manager there, he does everything right. He's probably arguably the most respected man in all of baseball. So they are an incredible team, well coached, well managed. They play the game the right way, and they pitch, man. They were outstanding from the starters to their bullpen, lights out bullpen, and they got the hits when they needed it. That kid Pena, Jeremy Pena, their shortstop, very similar to me to Derek Jeter. Just the way he carries himself, poised at a young age, gets big hits when they need it, and he's excellent defensively. So Houston Astros were the best team in all of baseball, and they showed it in the postseason.
Jerry, long time no talk to. Stan the Fan. It's great to be talking to you. Wanted to ask you about Pena. It's no accident that the Astros let Carlos Correa go, and this kid, they said, we'll plug this guy in. They kind of knew what they had, didn't they?
Absolutely. You know, and the biggest thing is, everybody talks about big market teams. Sure, money does help, but you have to have good young players in your system. When you look at, the last 50 years, I would look at the Yankees in the late 90s, early 2000s. The reasons why they were so successful is because they had guys coming through their system. They had Derek Jeter, Posada, Bernie Williams, Mariano Rivera. They had a great nucleus of young players, and then they added guys like, Clemens to the mix to help out your young core. So you have to have a great farm system. You have to be able to draft well. You have to be able to develop well. And certainly the Astros have done that with that Correa. They have now moved on, and now you have a guy like Pena who is a superstar already in his rookie year. Won a Gold Glove, ALCS MVP, and now World Series MVP. And he's got great makeup, great poise, grew up around the game. And it's so important to have guys coming through your farm system. And the Baltimore Orioles are doing that.
Yeah.
Now they're doing that. You have to be able to develop your own guys. And then when you're ready to win, then you go out there and get the pieces you need.
Jerry, everybody knows how popular Dusty Baker is with players, with management throughout all of his years in baseball. You played for him. It's not a question that he is popular or beloved, but why do you think he's so beloved by other players?
Well, he takes account of you personally. He wants to get to know you, and it's genuine. It's not one of those things where, hey, how's your day, and then moves on to the next guy. It's not like that at all. He really takes a genuine interest in your family, in you personally, and he is probably the most prepared guy I've ever been around. I played for Buck Showalter. Buck Showalter is right there as being prepared. But I'd go in Dusty's office, and he'd have a week game plan already. This series, the next series, and the following series, who he wants to play, who he's going to have as far as not only the starters, but also the guys that will be in the mix to play. If it's 10 games, a guy like myself who played center field, shortstop, second, he said, hey, on Tuesday you're going to be playing shortstop. On Thursday you're playing center field. And that weekend, Friday or Saturday, I'll have you play either third or back to short. So just be ready. He'd have everything mapped out. Now obviously, guys get injured, guys get hurt, and then he's able to adjust. But he always made sure that his players had the opportunity to prepare. And Dusty is probably the most prepared manager I ever played for. He genuinely cares. Incredible baseball man. And, if you look at his career, yes, up until this point, he never won the World Series. But he took teams that had no chance.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere and got into the postseason and had an opportunity to be in the World Series. So just a tremendous human being, and I am so happy for him.
So, Jerry, let me stay with Dusty Baker for a minute. Before you played for him in 2008, were you aware of his greatness?
Well, I actually played for him before that. I played for him for the Cubs in 2005. Remember when I got traded over from Baltimore?
From the Orioles.
Yep.
From the Orioles. It was a straight power trade. I went over to Chicago, and then Sammy Sosa came over to Baltimore. I let Sammy Sosa know that all the time. So I got a chance to play for Dusty in Chicago. And we had a very talented team with the Cubs, but we were always injured. We had, Kerry Wood, unfortunately he ran into some injuries. Mark Pryor, our whole staff was hurt. And if we were healthy, we would have won. I thought we had team in the makeup, but, Dusty never made excuses. He always put us in the best possible positions to succeed, even with the plethora of injuries we had with Chicago. So I knew then when I went back to Cincinnati, that he was the right man for the job with Cincinnati. He led them to the postseason, even though they had a young core, Joey Votto at the time, Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce. He taught them how to play the game the right way, and then when they were getting ready to win, they fired him. Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
Same thing with the Washington Nationals. They had a young core. They were getting ready to win. As soon as they get ready to win, they let them go, which was ridiculous to me. And then they finally won a World Series, but Dusty would have let them do a championship.
Yeah.
So I'm just so happy that he got an opportunity to win a title, and without question, now he will go in as a Hall of Famer. And I know a lot of guys that have played for him throughout Major League Baseball. Last 30 years, they're so happy for Dusty.
So, Jerry, one more question on your relationship with him, and then I'm going to turn it over to Stan the Fan. But everybody knows your story. As far as your bloodlines in baseball is concerned, your dad, of course, was a major league player. Your grandfather, if I'm not mistaken. Dusty Baker's tenure in the game has gone back since the 1960s. He's been involved in Major League Baseball for the last 40 to 50 years. He played with Hank Aaron. He was part of the civil rights movement, etc. Do you think that you have more of a personal connection with him because of your connections to the game?
Well, I'm going to tell you something personally. Well, first of all, anytime a guy that partied with Jimi Hendrix, who hung out with Hank Aaron, was on deck when Hank Aaron hit that home run to eclipse Babe Ruth, and knows all types of people throughout walks of life. Just a cool dude. But me personally, I'm going to tell you guys something. I had a miserable 2006 and 2007. I had a broken rib in my back. I didn't know that for 2 years. Just terrible two seasons. I didn't have a job. I was in the movie theater spring training. I think it was March 8th. Spring training of 2008. And I was finally healthy. Couldn't get a job. Dusty Baker sends me a text. I was in a movie theater during the day in Arizona.
What movie?
He goes, "Hey,
what movie were you seeing?"
You know what? I don't even remember. I just remember I went by myself because I couldn't watch spring training games. It was during the day. It was probably like 1, 2 in the afternoon. My kids were in school. I went by myself. Dusty sends me a text. He goes, "Hey, you're not with the team?" He goes, "Can you call me?" I ran out of the movie theater. I said, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "Hey, Alex Gonzalez just blew out his knee. We need an infielder. Can you get here in Sarasota, Florida in 3 or 4 days?" I go, "I will be there tonight." I went home, packed, and I was on the next thing smoking. Got to Sarasota, and I thought my career was done. I was thinking about playing independent ball, making my way back. I don't have a second half of my career, probably, if Dusty Baker doesn't call me.
That's
I owe I owe him the second half. I'm not on the 09 Yankees. I ended up hitting 326 that year in 2008 when Dusty gave me another chance, and I made sure I'm healthy. Finally, it took me 4 or 5 years. I'm finally healthy. I'm going to make sure I make the most out of this opportunity. And I thank Dusty Baker every time I see him. Every time we played against his teams, I sent him a bottle of wine. And I tell my kids, your college tuition is paid for because of Dusty Baker. So Dusty Baker, I love that man, and he's just an incredible person.
Hey, Jerry, I know you don't remember the movie, but did you stay till the end of the movie, or did you have to scoot right out of the theater?
I don't remember that movie, and you know what? I don't care. We ended up making our own movie. We won the World Series in 09, and I was able to play 6 more years in the big leagues.
Hey, I know it's early in the morning out there, but you heard about the big contract the Mets gave to Edward Diaz, their relief pitcher, 5 years, $102 million. It takes the relief pitcher, the closer role, and it makes it into a $20 million plus. Where will the Dodgers play in that market now?
Well, the one thing I know, the Dodgers have always been aggressive, whether it's via trades, whether it's at the deadline. So I'm not really worried about the Dodgers. They've always made sure that every time they take the field, whether it's opening day or after the trade deadline, they have a team to compete for a championship. And make no mistake, the Mets owner, Mr. Cohen, he's got some funds. He's got a little bit of coin. So I think he's going to use those funds to not only get who signed Diaz, yesterday. I'm sure they're going to make a run at a couple more players.
Do you think they re-signed Jacob deGrom?
I think they have a great opportunity to. I know Jacob loves New York. He's had success there. I'm sure that he will entertain Mr. Cohen's offer, but there are a lot of owners that are aggressive. I know the Texas Ranger owner, he was aggressive last offseason. He really wants a winner there. The Giants are going to be aggressive. The Dodgers will be aggressive. There are going to be a lot of teams out there vying for a lot of players.
Talking to Jerry Hairston Jr., 16 years in the major leagues, a few of them, actually the first few with the Baltimore Orioles, of course. Now he's an analyst, a baseball analyst for Spectrum Sportsnet in Los Angeles. Jerry, I wanted to ask you a question about the playoff format, and I know Major League Baseball did a lot this year to kind of enhance it, adding a team to the postseason, making that first round best of 3 as opposed to just a one-game playoff. But the fact of the matter is the Dodgers were the best team in baseball over 162 games this year. They had one of the best seasons ever in Dodger history and were bounced out early.
The best, yeah.
Yes. So I'm just wondering from your perspective and maybe the Dodgers' perspective, I'm not saying there's bitterness over that or whatever, but is there any talk at all, like a sense of fairness, that a team goes what they did over 162 and then gets bounced out quickly like that?
Well, I mean, listen, nothing's going to be perfect. You got to understand, this is what the players and this is what Major League Baseball agreed to. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but after watching it just as a whole, I like it. It's intense. It's better than the one-game playoff.
Yeah, much.
It's better than one-game playoff. So nothing's going to be perfect. Bottom line is, guys, the Dodgers didn't play well. The players said that. They admitted it. They had a hard time hitting with runners in scoring position. And, the regular season, I don't care how many games you win, it's a different game in the postseason. You have to be able to make adjustments on the fly. Talent can really you can overwhelm teams with talent throughout a course of an entire season. But if you have a 5-game playoff, 7-game playoff, you better be able to make adjustments on the fly. And the Dodgers have admitted they just didn't do it this year. And hopefully they make their adjustments and come next season and be ready to go next postseason.
Jerry, I got 2 more questions for you. One is,
guys, I really got to run though. I really got to run.
All right, then I'll make it one.
Okay.
One question.
One question. Yeah. One question.
Justin Turner, will the Dodgers pick up his option? Because I'm interested.
Gotta hope so.
I'm interested in him here in Baltimore.
Well, a lot of teams are going to be interested in Justin Turner.
Yeah.
I hope he is back with the Dodgers. He's an LA kid, SoCal kid. He looks great in Dodger blue. I'm hoping they come to some kind of agreement and he'll be back in Dodger blue.
All right.
Sounds
Jerry,
good,
thank
Jerry.
you very
so much.
Jerry Hairston,
Anytime, guys.
Former Oriole and played for Dusty Baker on a couple occasions now, it turns out. And that story about the movie theater.
Awesome.
A fantastic story.
Played for him in
Fantastic
2005 and 2008. 05, he was with the Cubs. 08, he was with the Cincinnati Reds. Glory Days Grill has $6.99 apps every night after 9 p.m., like the mozzarella sticks, the buffalo chicken dip, and their incredible smoky thigh wings.
They got chowder, too. They got chowder.
Plus, the Oktoberfest menu is still available, even though we're in the month of November, including the chicken schnitzel, one of my favorites, by the way. My mom used to make schnitzel all the time. And the Bavarian burger on the pretzel bun. So get your order in now at glorydaysgrill.com. That's Glory Days Grill. Great food, great sports.
Did they call it Mama Stein's Schnitzel?
They absolutely did.
Yeah.
Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery yet, Stanley, by the way?
No, I'm not.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you, it's located in Baltimore Station North neighborhood. Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew model with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. Get it? Yeah. Yappy Hour with your dog.
I don't get it.
I'll explain later when we practice Patrick Ricard. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. That's Guilford Hall Brewery, 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. And don't forget to come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, New Maryland basketball coach Kevin Willard sits down with Stan Charles and Glenn Clark to discuss the situation he inherited in College Park and how he plans to get the program turned around. Also, inside, we introduce you to men's and women's college basketball players from all of the teams in the area. And Bo Smoka profiles Ravens receiver Devin Duvernay. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Another Orioles season is in the books, and the Bat-Around was there every step of the way as the Birds posted their first winning season in 6 years. And after promoting 2 #1 overall prospects in Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, Mike Elias has said it's liftoff from here. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and along with my co-host Zach Goodman, we'll be here every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon all off season, discussing every signing, trade, and waiver claim as we navigate the cold winter months that lead to spring training. You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or listen live at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. And if you miss a show, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. So tune into the Bat-Around with Paul Valley and Zach Goodman every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon, right here at PressBox Sports.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
If you can't listen or watch live, you can subscribe to the show via Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review while you're there. Or, if lying isn't your thing, we'll take a 3.5-star review too.
Hey, the latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, new Maryland basketball coach Kevin Willard sits down with Stan Charles and Glenn Clark to discuss the situation he inherited in College Park and how he plans to get the program turned around. Also inside, we introduce you to men's and women's college basketball players from all of the teams in the area, and Bo Smolko profiles Ravens receiver Devin Duvernay. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com. Speaking of Stan the Fan, my partner here in crime, he's got 2 great shows for you every week. Every Monday night, Stan and former Orioles pitcher Ross Grimsley visit with a different guest from the world of baseball, and every Thursday night, myself and Stan chat with a different newsmaker from the world of sports. Last week, Stan and Ross were joined by former Oriole-turned-Giants instructor Shane Turner. Stan and I caught up with Ravens Vault podcast host Sarah Ellison. You can find these shows under the videos tab at facebook.com/PressBoxSports or at PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stanley, tonight, Monday night, you're with Ross, and your guest is?
Dave Tremblay, former Orioles manager, and we'll talk with him and maybe find out how well he knows Dusty Baker.
Sounds good.
It looks like our Thursday night Zoom this week is being moved to Wednesday night. Danny Black, sports collector extraordinaire, will talk to us about the world of collecting.
7 o'clock, Facebook Live on Wednesday night, hopefully this week. Also, the Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com. That's B-U-Y-A Toyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. The next Tyus Bowser show is Tuesday, November 15th. Not this week, but next at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. Tyus and a special guest will join Rita and Glenn. This is your opportunity to meet Baltimore football stars while getting the inside scoop on the purple and black. The Tyus Bowser Show is a partnership of Pressbox and Grade 8's memorabilia, brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Grill. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. And if you happen to miss a Tyus Bowser Show, you can check it out Friday nights throughout the season on 105.7 The Fan.
Where are they going to be next week?
Mother's North in Timonium.
Padonia Road. What day is that, though?
Tuesday.
This is Tuesday the 15th, so a week from tomorrow night. And then apparently the rebroadcast.
I might try and get out there.
Rebroadcast on Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. All right, 11:30, we've got Jeremy Conn to talk about his picks over the weekend and just sports in general. Until that time, Stan, let's localize it a little bit, talk a little Maryland football, talk a little high school football here with our producer, Griffin Bass. Let's start with Maryland first. Not a very inspiring performance in the rain and wind in Wisconsin. They lose to the Badgers 23-10.
Nah, it might be one of the worst games that, when you rate games under an era, and it's not a particularly long era, and Mike Loxley's been the head man at Maryland. You got to, when you play an Ohio State or a Michigan and they beat you, 54-10, it's not that surprising or disappointing. This was a winnable game against a Wisconsin team that is not a great team. They're 4-4 this year going into that game, and Maryland just was never in the ball game. Now, I do not know the ins and outs of Wisconsin football well enough to know if this is impacted by Jimmy Leonard. Remember, Jim Leonard played for the Bills,
the Ravens and the Bills.
And the Bills. He's their interim head coach, and it looks like he intends to keep that job. He could be a guy that's there for 15 years, 20 years. He played there, at Wisconsin. They looked much the better team Saturday. And now Maryland, it bucks up against a really tough game at Penn State this week.
And, of course, against Ohio State the following week. And, my takeaway from the game, and granted, I'm full disclosure, I didn't watch most of the game, just followed it, et cetera, obviously read the accounts, saw the Mike Loxley press conference after the game. Look, it's the toughest division in sports and probably the toughest conference in sports, the SEC, of course, right up there as well. But my point is that they're better. They're moving in the right direction, but they're just not ready yet for prime time. And it's difficult to get to prime time when you've got Ohio State, Michigan, sometimes Michigan State, sometimes Penn State in that division.
Well, the way you incrementally do it is by almost always winning games against winnable competition. And that was what they played on Saturday, and they just didn't show up at all.
And also the other thing, Stan, is the game that we went to was the Northwestern? No, it wasn't the North. Yeah, it wasn't the Northwestern game. And then after that, he got hurt. I'm talking about Talia Tungavailoa.
No, we went to the Purdue game.
Oh, that's right. We went to the Purdue game. I'm talking about Talia. He got hurt after that. Yeah. I'm not sure he's 100% at this point. They went with the freshman after that, and he had a couple, good games, et cetera. So we'll watch that situation. But this is a big game coming up against Penn State.
Yeah, they need to play a respectable game.
Yeah, look, it's a winnable game. I think Penn State's a pretty good football team, but they're not, with the We Are Penn State of the past. This is a winnable game if they come up and they show up for the game.
Yeah.
So, all right, more local. Let's get to some high school football, high school sports. We've got Griffin Bass here, our producer, who's the play-by-play voice, along with Miles Goodman for Concordia Prep in Baltimore County, B Conference in the MIAA. They had a big win over the weekend. Who was it?
They beat Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel in their first season in the B Conference, coming up from the C. But they're trying to build a program there under Courtney Bridget Jr., another young head coach in his first season. But a couple first-year head coaches in the B Conference. As like every team's kind of trying to, it seems like every team's kind of trying to follow the mold that Concordia kind of set with Coach Joe Battaglia. A younger coach. We see it with Boys Latin now as they're kind of they're ushering in Tony Renato to take over for Richie Shell. But Troy Gibson just had his first season with St. Paul's. Courtney Bridget Jr. with Mount Carmel, and then Renato will be in his first season with Boys Latin most likely next year. They haven't made it official yet, but it seems like he was getting groomed to take over in that job. But everyone's kind of trying to chase what Concordia's done. But a lot of credit's got to be given to St. Mary's too. St. Mary's they went undefeated this season in the regular season and in conference play. Under Coach Jason Bedroni. He had a couple championships in 2016 and 17, I think, or maybe it was 17, 18, and they were runner-ups in 19. But they are undefeated. They're looking to probably try and knock off Concordia, who are the defending B Conference champions.
Hey, Gary and I have known Joe Battaglia for a good while.
Mm-hmm. And
I
his
know
dad,
him so well.
Yeah, Coach Buzz.
Of course, his
Coach
dad,
Buzz.
Of course, you know his
Battaglia.
name.
Yeah,
right. Joe, John,
but Joe Battaglia. I always thought he was capable. The guy is really dedicated to football. It's his life. When you are with him or around him and he's talking football, what stands out about him to you? Because he's doing an amazing job.
Yeah, you can tell he really, really cares about all the kids, all the boys. I think, it's probably the perfect spot for him because he bounced around at some colleges. He was at the Naval Academy, and I think he's taking everything he learned from that, and he's applied it masterfully at Concordia. In his first full season, won a conference championship, and is poised. He's ready to make another run. They're the 2 seed this year. Their only loss was to St. Mary's, so they'll have of course they have Curly this weekend in the first round of the playoffs. So of course if they're able to take care of Curly and the Friars, then they'll most likely be playing St. Mary's. St. Mary's will have John Carroll down in Annapolis this weekend for their first round, and then the winner of those two games will meet in the championship. But it seems they have a bit of a revenge story. If they're able to take care of everything this weekend, so it's exciting times in the MIAA. I think so.
So what date and time is the game?
They play at noon this Saturday at Concordia Prep here in Towson, off of Concordia Drive, right off of Loch Raven, actually.
So one of the questions that we asked Joe on our podcast the other night was B Conference football versus A Conference football. For years, the Gilmans, the McDonoughs, the Mount St. Joe's, the big A Conference teams, they were just dominant teams. Gilman, especially under Biff Poggi, and even before that under Sherm Bristow, which I know you don't even know who that is. But it seems like today, B Conference, I wouldn't say routinely, but B Conference teams beat A Conference teams. And I don't know how many A Conference teams you've watched, the Gilmans, the Mount St. Joe's of the world, et cetera. But, I do think that the talent gap and the knowledge gap between the B and the A have narrowed dramatically over time.
Yeah, it's much more competitive this year, probably more than ever. Again, I can't say I have the greatest knowledge of the past, but I think it's been so much more competitive. Concordia has a dominant win over McDonough earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
They played Gilman, who coming into the season. I think they missed the A conference playoffs. Gilman did, but they came in as one of the top ranked schools in the state, and Concordia had them in the first week in a game that when you talk to everyone on the Concordia staff, they think they should have had that one. But they took Gilman to overtime and ended up losing by a touchdown in overtime. But that was a really good game that Concordia played against Gilman. I think Curley had a win over an A-conference opponent. St. Mary's beat Loyola earlier this year. But yeah, just so much. I mean, even last year, Loyola, typically an A-conference team, they were up back in the A this year. Who Concordia beat last year in the B conference championship. And then you see Loyola come back for the Turkey Bowl last year, and they beat Calvert Hall. Calvert Hall won the A conference, so it's just it seems like there's a lot more parity across the MIAA as a whole, which I think is really good for high school football as a whole as well.
And then of course you got St. Francis but they're going off in a completely different direction, being literally like a college prep school, for football and playing a national schedule, etc. I saw them on TV a couple times already this year, but yeah, that's a whole nother story.
One thing about Concordia, whether they win or lose, their broadcasts are some of the best in high school football in the state,
and that's
in the entire state.
And you have to give Miles Goodman a lot of credit for that. You know what I mean?
Well, Miles set the whole broadcast thing up.
Yeah. Griffin, you got any thought on that?
Yeah, AC Sports is who puts on all the games with John Miller.
Speaking of that, I got to talk to John Miller because when I was I went to go see Griffin and Miles the other night, Friday night, when they played or when they broadcast the BL St. Paul's game, and I met John Miller, who's the brains behind the operation.
Right.
I think I know John Miller from somewhere, but I just can't put my finger on it. I'd like to talk to him about just like where he's been in the past, so maybe we can connect.
Griffin in the back.
No, not at all. He looks familiar to me, and
Friday nights is not a night that you're busy right now.
Well, that's true, actually.
Yeah.
Watch
him, Griffin.
I'm trying to think of where John. I mean, John's just always his daughter goes to the school, and that's why he's gotten super involved. But he's been great putting. He puts me and Miles in a position to make it to make everything. Make it a great broadcast stand. Yeah,
to make magic.
I guess so, if you want to call it magic.
Yeah,
I hope
good.
so. I hope so. But yeah, trying to just publicize these kids, give them what the attention that they deserve, and it's been a lot of fun.
I tell you,
happy to be a part of it.
When I first started my career, and Stan, I know that you know this because you helped me get the gig. I think I did a weekly talk show on cable channel 44.
Yep,
which
I
eventually
didn't want the show.
You didn't want the show, and that eventually morphed into, Griffin, you'll find this interesting, local high school and college football play-by-play. We did the high school game of the week, and there was city schools for the most part, the Dunbars, the Southerns of the world, et cetera, et cetera. Walbrook had a good basketball program back then. We also did Gilman McDonough one year.
Walbrook's big star? Devin. I can't think. He played at Towson. Devin Boyd.
Exactly right. Devin Boyd.
I pronounced his name right.
Yeah, well, there's always a first time. Yeah. But so we did. So my point is, we did high school football 30 years ago, but it wasn't like today. There wasn't social media. There wasn't really the cable. Well, there was cable, but it's not like it's like not rare anymore for high school football to be on.
Because the technology has changed so much, it's not as expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah, going into what you said about social media, it's every single school, all the high schools have a kid running the social media team with a camera out there shooting highlights, and they put together really great stuff that just
look at all those opportunities out there for you
to share these teams. Yeah, but it's really exciting, I think, for local high school sports.
Speaking of that, it reminds me of a story. I'll never forget this. It was, and I know Bill Spots, who used to have the Charm City Classic, so he had that at Towson for a number of years. That 1 year, was 93, 94. He had the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country.
Yep.
It was St. Anthony's of New Jersey under Bobby Hurley, and Dunbar under Pete Pompey.
Right.
At one time or another on the court, you had 10 starters, 5 and 5. 8 of the 10 eventually played major college basketball, and I think 3 or 4 of them made it to the NBA. Johnny Holiday did the play-by-play with Jap Trimble, was the color guy,
Jap.
and
I
I
was
was the
thinking him
sideline
the other
reporter.
day. Yeah.
And the place was packed.
Yeah.
5,000 at the Old Towson Center.
Yeah.
A lot of New Jersey fans coming down for that game. Obviously,
Wow.
a lot of Baltimore Dunbar fans. I mean, it was a professional atmosphere, and that
Yeah.
was kind of
Exciting
like
stuff.
very
Big
exciting
stuff.
stuff. So hopefully
So-
that can get recreated.
So everybody understands the context. This is a little bit like the Jerry Hairston story. Griffin got his start in broadcasting with me, but it was through you. We've already mentioned it on the air.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, we have. That's
Yeah,
all right.
that's all right.
We'll go over that in the
Okay.
in the break. Anyway, 11:30 coming up. We're at 11:24 right now. 6 more minutes, and we'll get to Jeremy Conn talking about his picks of the week and just what's going on in sports in general.
Yes, he was pick is for the Ravens. Are they going to cover?
Yeah,
That's
what do you
Jeremy's
think
world.
about
That's
that
Jeremy's
game
world.
tonight?
Yeah.
I think Lamar Jackson, as I said, has to win this game for the Ravens, and I think this is a game he does step forward and win.
So
for
you
the
like him to
Ravens.
cover or like him
I
just
like
to
him
win?
to cover. Well, the spread went down to it was
it go down
2.5.
to a
It went to it was 2.5 all week long. The Ravens were favored. It's now down to 1.5.
Really?
Yeah,
Low
I
spread.
wonder.
That's a
what
bit of a
happened
swing.
there.
Well,
Maybe
because
was that
the-
after Andrews
because the Andrews and Edwards being out.
I
you
think
know.
it's probably a big spot for the defense as well. See them there's no playmakers really on besides Lamar Jackson, obviously, but there's not a ton of offensive playmakers active tonight. So addition of Roquan Smith, I think it's a big spot. See how
I
the
was going to
defense
say.
kind of
I think the defense has some.
they can lean on
playmakers
him.
now.
Yeah.
If you're a Ravens fan tonight, there are a lot of things to look for. And obviously, on offense, you're going to always look at Lamar. You're going to look at Isaiah Likely tonight. You're going to look and see what Devin Duvernay's doing. Okay. But on defense now, all of a
We got
sudden.
one other player we haven't mentioned one time is Deshaun Jackson.
That's true.
Does he
That's
come
true.
in-
That's a good point.
Does
Does
he
he
come
come
back?
on and make one or two big plays?
That's a good question. Absolutely. But on defense now, all of a sudden, a position that was really weak
Yeah.
in terms of linebackers
Now
in
we
general,
got
but
Bowser
pass
back
rushers.
and Roquan.
You got
Smith.
Roquan Smith in the middle, along with Patrick Queen, who's put together 3 or 4 good games, got a lot of speed.
Yeah, Roquan Smith should only help that. Yeah.
I think so.
Take some pressure off him.
Now you've got, of course, Bowser coming back. You've got Owe benefiting from that. You've got Justin Houston, who's back and has made an impact. Hopefully Ojabo can make a debut, probably not this week, but maybe after the bye. And all of a sudden now you see some speed, youth, and enthusiasm on that Ravens defense where it wasn't before. Also, another thing, the Ravens have now created a turnover in 10 straight games dating back to last year. That was a big
That
problem
was a
for
big
the
problem
Ravens
last year, early in the first half of the season.
because this is a
especially.
defense that thrives on turning the ball over, or taking the ball away, I should say, and giving the offense good field position. So if that can continue, and I think it will with these additions to the defense, you're looking at a totally different Ravens defense in the second half of the year.
It's a good point. This is a game that I keep saying Lamar Jackson. It's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens defense have to win this game. The Saints, Alvin Kamara's tremendous, no question about it. But they're not. This is not a powerhouse offense that we're facing tonight.
Also, I want to say one thing, and this has gone under the radar. Geno Stone, who's now the starting strong safety, I'm sorry, the starting free safety without Marcus Williams in the lineup, has really done a good job. I wouldn't say he's a great player yet or any of that stuff. I'm not going to even say he's going to have a great NFL career because I don't know. But for a second or
They've
third
coached
year,
him up. They've
yeah,
coached him up.
they really have, and I think he's done a really good job. He's physical, he's fast, and I think what you're seeing is the
And he's
beginning
in the
of
right
a nice
place.
career.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Chuck Clark, I mean, you can't say enough about that guy whose position and tenure on the team was in jeopardy at the beginning of the year, has really stepped up. He's got the green dot, so he doesn't come off the field, and I think he's done a good job being the quarterback of that defense.
Is he any relation to Perry Clark?
Could be.
Yeah, he was the editor of the Daily Planet.
Well, I thought he was the coach of the Memphis University of
Perry-
Memphis.
Wasn't in Superman? Wasn't Perry Clark the
Was it? Was that
publisher?
That was the
of the Daily
publisher?
Planet?
I don't think I was
Okay.
alive back then. Yeah, to be honest with you. I'm sort of the Griffin Bass to you, when
Let's
it
see
comes
if
to
I'm
that.
right about that.
Perry Clark.
Dating myself.
All right. Hey, let's take a quick break here before we get to Jeremy Conn at 11:30. I want to let you know that online sports betting will be starting in Maryland in the next few weeks. Press
Did you ever
box.
cash your ticket last year when you won?
$18.
Wow.
Yeah, Ryan Odom won that game for
Yep.
me at Utah Valley or wherever he is, Utah State. Pressbox is your source for the best offers and sign-up incentives. Starting now, you can get a $100 pre-registration credit from our friends at FanDuel by going to PressBoxOnline.com/offers. The $100 credit is in addition to the new user promo you'll get when they go live. Just go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers now to get your $100 FanDuel pre-registration bonus credit. That's PressBoxOnline.com/offers.
By the way,
Yeah.
Clark Kent was Superman.
Yeah.
If Perry White was the publisher.
So you got
I'll
Clark
get it
Kent
right.
and
Only
Yeah,
you.
I
Only you.
confused
Okay, I
Stan.
see.
Clark, yes.
Only you. Coming soon, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, the perfect ceramic tailgate or home grill to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all kinds of food. Get the details. Reserve yours today at ginsugrills.com. Use the code TAILGATE to get $100 off your order. Back after this with Jeremy Conn.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Glory Days Grill's Oktoberfest menu is now running. It's one of their most popular seasonal menus all year. It features the chicken schnitzel, the Oktoberfest brewer's platter, the brewer's sausage sandwich, the Bavarian burger with a pretzel bun, the cheddar ale soup, the slam dunk pretzels, and the apple cobbler. All of these meals pair well with Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine in or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Receive a free Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich offer card as a thank you when you donate to Toys for Tots on Saturday, November 12th at any of the 13 Baltimore area Chick-fil-A Stuff the Truck event sites. Be one of the first 50 people to donate, and you will also get a free t-shirt. For a location list and more information, visit PressBoxOnline.com/toy drive.
Tune in to Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday at 11:40 a.m. And if you really have nothing better to do, keep listening to this show too.
And welcome back into the Glenn Clark radio show. I'm Stan the Fan Charles. Gary Stein is co-hosting with me today. Baltimore Ravens have a big game tonight. You can watch that game on ESPN, and I believe locally it's going to be on Channel 13. Is that right, Gary Stein?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question because, I guess
They have the right to. I think the
over-the-air TV. Yeah,
the one last week was on Channel 2. This
right.
I think Jay-Z has the game tonight.
That's a good call. I'm going to check that out right now. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and that's Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
Who
have they brought any more excitement to Monday Night Football?
It is on Channel 13, by the way. No, I don't think so. Do you? I mean,
not really. No.
I like them a lot better. I like them. I think they're a lot better than the last 2 or 3 years of the ESPN Monday Night Football we've had.
I mean,
I enjoy them a lot better. Yeah.
Aikman is becoming more candid, I find.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Do we have him? We do. JC, how are you, my man?
Man, this is the best that Glenn's ever sounded in years. What do you got? Oh, what's going on, guys?
Jeremy Conn, first time I've talked to you in quite a while, my friend.
I hope you're doing well, man. It has been a long time.
Yeah,
Jeremy, I've got one big question to ask you before anything else. Who was the chief editor of the Daily Planet in Superman?
The Jonah Jameson.
Close.
Wait,
Very close.
Wait a minute. Did you say Jenna or Jonah?
Jonah.
Okay.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Stanley. Perry Clark was the head men's basketball coach at Tulane. By the way.
I got a whole confusion going on with Perry
Was
Clark.
it J. Jonah Jameson? Is that who it was?
No, it was Perry White.
He's the Spider-Man. He's the Spider-Man one. J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, did you say Superman?
Yeah, I said Superman. I said
whatever.
Okay.
I hated Superman.
Jeremy, I got to tell you something. This has been quite an experience working with Stanley today. It's just it's going to stand out in my mind.
You're even giving him the full first name, the Stanley action, which I can tell you've been frustrated with him then.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Hey, so Jeremy, what's going on in your world? Big sporting weekend, obviously, NFL, World Series, etc. How did you do with your picks this past weekend?
So I did you guys see Frank Reich just got fired? Too?
Yeah,
so,
that's true. Yep, wanted to say that
yep.
too.
I guess that ends. I guess that ends the Sam Ellinger era in Indianapolis.
He's so bad. Oh my God, he's just dreadfully bad. But Friday and Saturday were great for me. I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday were good days. Sunday, I lost my lock, which I always considered a crappy week when I lose my lock. My big thing this weekend was Tennessee getting blown out. That meant Georgia over Tennessee on Saturday and Kansas City blowing out Tennessee. So I felt good initially, and then I don't know what happened to the offense. I mean, how the hell Pat Mahomes throws for almost 500 yards and only throws one touchdown pass? But, it's just those are the breaks sometimes. And yesterday I had the Bears, which was good. Depending on when you got the Commanders game, you pushed. So livid over. I had the Raiders over, which finished a point under the total. But if you watch that game, they scored 30 points in the first half. And then the Raiders just didn't score at all in the second. But overall, it was a really good 10-3 on Saturday, 4-1 in my top plays. So it was a good Saturday. Sunday leaves a lot to be desired. But, today college basketball starts. Just a little bit of everything. It's one of the best times of the year with having all these different options to bet on.
Jeremy, you've been a bettor for a long, long time, always been interested in it. I'm assuming you have friends that are bettors as well. Is this move where people are going to be able to bet on their devices, on their phones, on their laptops, or on their iPads, is this a big deal? Is this a game changer in the state for sports betting?
Absolutely. And Stan, you could have shortened that question by saying you've been a degenerate for a long period of time. He said it's a very pleasant, polite way. But no, because I'm here on November 21st or at the latest December 1st. And the thing that I keep telling people that this is actually real and it's happening is that these companies are spending money to advertise now, which we're getting really close.
Yeah.
And I had somebody point out to me that FanDuel Sportsbook has Maryland's name on the list of, states that you can, when you go to click on it on their front page as soon as you download the app. So we're getting closer. It's almost there. The technology, it's been here forever, no matter what they're telling you. But it's an absolute game changer because I think there's a lot of people like me that don't want to take loads of cash into a casino and lay it down or, pick up cash if you win and walk to your car. There's somebody, you're just doing everything on your phone. It's real easy. And to be honest with you, when I went up to Philly and I was messing around with it a little bit when my wife and I went up for anniversary and, put some plays in for Saturday. It's just super easy to navigate and do whatever you want. And then once I withdrew some money after I hit, it was right in my account just like that. So, and that's on a weekend. So I'm assuming it's going to change everything. Now, the big difference between like illegal betting and legal betting is the fact that most of the time, for people that were betting with their guy, as I'm doing air quotes, their bookie, if you will, is that you're usually playing with a lot of credit. Now you got to play with cash. You got to start to understand some of the rotation numbers if you walk into a casino and different things like that. But yeah, I think it's a total game changer for everyone. And I don't know why we weren't doing like New Jersey pulled in so much money their first month of doing it. The numbers are down a little bit, but other states have opened up. So, but there's so much money to be made.
Jeremy, I don't think Jeremy, I don't think I've ever asked you this question, but do you love sports or do you love the fact that you can bet on sports, which makes it even more exciting?
It's both, but if you ask me right now, I would say my fandom's more on the gambling side. And it's weird because so yeah, for me, people talk to me all the time. Like I was a Colts fan, I was a Peyton Manning fan,
right?
And then they're like, oh, yeah. So Peyton leaves and goes to Denver, and I pulled for him to get another Super Bowl, but I still kind of like the Colts. And now when I look at it, I don't feel like I have an NFL team. I pull for the Ravens because I know it's good for business and it's great to talk about, and I like a lot of the players on the team. But ultimately, my money is what does the talking. I've told somebody else, if my mom were to get in a fist fight, if I thought the other woman had better odds, I'd bet on her. And I'd pull for my mom to lose. She'll have another day to fight, but that's just how it is. And it makes even the most, like, think about all these bad Thursday night and even some of the Monday night games that we've had. It makes it a little bit interesting when you can throw, even if it's $25, $10 on it, or the people that like to get weird and do these 10-game parlays for a shot to win big money. I think all that matters to a lot of people, and it matters to me. Like my favorite thing is actually the process of just putting it all together and seeing if I was right or if I was wrong.
We're talking with Jeremy Conn of 105.7 The Fan, the Big Bad Morning Show. Jeremy, this sports betting, my first taste of it was when I used to have a bookmaker back when I was about 20 years old, and I beat him about 18 out of 19 baseball games in a row when I first started. And then I walked up to him, and I was betting like $10 or $15, and he says to me, "Here's the games you can bet." He changed the rules on me. I couldn't just pick out any of the 15 games that were being played. I had to pick one out of 3 games, but the thing about the thing about sports betting where it really changed for me was when I started playing fantasy baseball. I no longer rooted for teams. I rooted for my team, my players, even if they were playing against the Orioles. Was there a moment in time, I guess it was the Colts for you, where that happened?
Yeah, I would say so, and then that's what I realized. You can't bet with your heart, and even still, like a lot of times, Stan, I'll put together my daily fantasy lineup, and as I'm getting, matching everything up, I might go look at prop bets and say, well, wait a minute, if I really like, just throw out Pascal Siakam of the Raptors, and I think he's going to have this great game, and by the way, he's out now with an injury, but I think he's going to have this great game, why wouldn't I go take a look at his points, rebounds, assists over the total? Or if I think he's playing against a team that's really bad at offensive and defensive rebounds, why not look at his rebound prop? I mean, all these things are available and ready for you to bet on. Yeah, and it's weird because like when you first start, I'm still a little old school too, where it's just sides and totals, parlays and teasers, and now round robins are in effect. People are betting 10-game parlays, same-game parlays with boosters. People that just love to bet the prop bets. I mean, there's sites like Underdog and other sites where you can just parlay prop bets together, which if that's your thing, I mean, at least they have something for you. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how the game has changed so much. And even people that are in the live betting, which I don't do a ton of, but that's an option where I had somebody text me and says, "Hey, is Maryland getting 21 at the half against Wisconsin?" I said, "No, that's their live number. It's plus 21.5 because they were down 17-0. But there are all types of things you can do. So I just find it really interesting. I don't know that anything's changed my fandom. As I tell people, I pull for the Ravens. I think the Orioles are the only team that I don't want to say live and die by. It's such a long season, so it's really hard to hang on to that. But and I root for my Mavericks. But if I felt like they were in a bad spot or I didn't like their number, I'd bet against them, and then I'd hope they'd win by 4 if they were favored by 5. So maybe I'd win twice there.
Talking with Jeremy Conn along with Rob Long and Ed Norris, part of the Big Bad Morning Show on 105.7 The Fan. Jeremy, you just threw out a name from the Toronto Raptors. I have no idea who it is, and I don't even want to know, to be honest with you. But my question is, you obviously bet on NBA. You obviously bet on the NFL, MLB, college football, etc. And I know you do this show 3-4 hours a day, 5 days a week.
He's not degenerate enough to bet hockey.
But my question is,
I'm great in hockey.
Yeah, okay,
sport,
right. How much time do you spend on a weekly basis doing this?
You know what? So I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I used to get up at 4 until I had to sit in the studio with bitter ass Rob Long in the morning. When he sulks in the morning until the lights come on, and then he's himself. He's a miserable human being very early in the morning. Just so you guys know.
Wow. Okay.
But as I get up and I stumble to the bathroom, the first thing I look at are any scores that I may have missed from the last night, and then I start checking spreads in the morning. And it's just all throughout the show. So as I'm prepping in commercial breaks, I'm looking at line spreads and movement and, checking it out on all the different levels. So it is something that, it just consumes my life. And my wife we went to Philadelphia to watch one of the kids that I used to coach, that used to live with me, play football at East Stroudsburg this weekend. And I was so excited to see, but the entire time my wife's driving, I'm literally in the car looking at point spreads and checking scores from college football games. So daily fantasy and gambling, it's become, at least 50% of my life. And you got to factor in, I don't sleep much, but that's going to take up a percentage of it. So, but yeah, it's a ton of hours that I put in, and I'm constantly looking throughout the day.
So just a personal question, does that make you happy?
It's the one thing that I really enjoy.
Really?
Look, ask me afterwards if I'm happy. I was just telling somebody else the other night I put together a daily fantasy lineup, and the process is what I enjoy the most. Don't get me wrong, winning's great, but like seeing if I got it right, if I got it wrong. Like I've had games, and I've said this before, like you have games where you're on the right side, you end up losing it. It's a really hard thing to tell people. And you have other games where you get unbelievably lucky. Like, for example, my one loss in my top plays on Saturday was Charlotte and Western Kentucky over 72.5. 72.5 points. It missed barely by one score, and that's because Charlotte scored 7 freaking points in the game. So, you feel like, and they're at home, so you feel like they should have gotten more than a touchdown. But, it's the give and take to the games. I've had games where you get lucky and it goes into extra innings in baseball and you got the over, and they nickel and dime you here and there. Actually, when I got COVID this year, I hit for $50,000 on DraftKings on a Saturday morning. I bet I'd stack the Brewers and the Cubs game. And not that anything went off that day or anything special happened, but I fell asleep and woke up to them going into extra innings where it was like one run here, one run there. And I slowly watched myself move up the leaderboard till I got in first place because they had a rain delay. So that was the last game going off. So that was a really fun sweat for me. So those moments are just, they're great. I love doing that stuff.
Could you give up gambling?
Is my wife listening?
Actually,
no, look,
right
I'm an admitted compulsive gambler. I really had a problem with horse racing 40 years ago, 50 years ago. What am I talking about? I really had a problem with it, and I love to bet baseball, and I had a problem with it for a while. But
so it's funny, baseball and hockey are my two best sports, and hockey I don't know anything about. I'm just watching line movements and seeing which teams have played multiple games. I'm looking at little things that matter to me. In baseball, some of the guys on our BetQL network laugh at me. They call me the weatherman because I have all the weather apps in understanding which games are going to be great for home run hitting weather. I look at umpire data. I feel like there's a lot of things that people don't look at, and all the information, sure, sometimes you can overload it and make a wrong decision, but I think it only helps. And to answer your question about giving up is I don't think I could. In some capacity I would. You remember when it's one of my favorite stories with FanDuel and DraftKings where they're like, you guys are gambling and gambling's illegal. And they're like, we're not gambling. Are you kidding me? This is a game of skill. This is a game of, you've got to be really good at this. And then they go, oh my God, gambling's legal? Yeah, we're gambling. So they moved on from it. So in some capacity, I'm assuming I'll probably be doing this for the rest of my life.
Jeremy, and it's been a long time since I've spoken to you, so I've never asked you this question. Dude, I remember when you had no facial hair at all, okay? Which is a long time ago. What motivated you? What's up with that?
It wasn't I've always wanted to have a beard. I didn't want it to be gray, and I didn't want to look like Tim Allen in the Santa Claus, but here we are. But, during the pandemic, I let my beard grow because I hate shaving. So I always it's one of the few things that I'd say I pamper myself on. I go get a haircut and a shave about, every 3 weeks, I'd say. And I'd rather somebody else trim my beard and tell me it looks nice than me to look in the mirror going, I don't know about that. I think maybe this side's a little too short. But it started growing and it just came in gray. And anybody that has gray hair, that hair grows faster than the other hair. So it's just like there's no way around it. And now it's kind of become I just prefer having a beard, except when I eat soup or ice cream, because then all bets are off. I don't know where it's going.
So 2 questions for you. Will the Ravens cover tonight?
I don't like them tonight. I picked them to win. The line's down to 1 now.
Down to 1.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I like the over, and then all the public money's coming in on the Ravens. I always talk about this, the reverse line movement. This would typically be a game I'm all over, but they're such a weird team because the Buccaneers game, that's one where the Buccaneers just didn't put it together in the second half, and the Ravens came out and did what they had to do, run the football. But that was a terrible spot for the Ravens, and they found a way to win. That's why I keep going back to Lamar. Like, when it comes to him, he's such a difficult guy to bet on, bet against, whether it's side or total, because we've seen the Ravens dominate time of possession for 40 minutes and put up 20 points, and it's not enough to get over the total. We've seen them be a quick strike offense and just, throw the ball deep and get these big pass plays or big run plays from Lamar, and the scores be shootouts. That Miami game was crazy earlier this year. So we've seen all of that, but they also have shown the propensity to go out and lose a game they have no business losing and beat teams they have no business winning sometimes. So, yeah, it's difficult. Like, I like the over, and if you force me to pick the side, I would tell you the Saints are the right side tonight. But I think I'm gonna stay with my overplay. It dropped to 46.5 because people are worried about the injuries. The injuries don't bother me because I think the Ravens are going to do what they've always done. And if the Saints are able to get out to any sort of a lead, maybe it makes them throw it a little bit more.
Last question I have for you is Game 5. Trey Mancini makes that incredible play. Was Mo on his shoulder there?
Man, it was awesome to see, and it was one of the real easy things, reasons to root for the Astros, even with all the stuff where I know a lot of fans dislike them. But he and Dusty Baker, I love the fact that, I didn't want Gurriel to get hurt, but it gave Trey another opportunity to get some more bats, seeing him with his family. Just what a tremendous guy. And, it was really cool, too, because I was out of town when the moment happened with Trey's last game at Camden Yards. We had already planned our vacation, and my phone blew up. I couldn't watch the game. I was down in Outer Banks. And when my phone blew up, I'm going, what happened? Something happened to someone. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And long story short, it was funny because after I saw the highlight of the ball hitting the outfielder in the head and rolling just far enough for Trey to carry the refrigerator around the bases and score. I mean, it's just one of the coolest moments.
All kidding aside, and I still have a question for you about the game tonight, but all kidding aside, your involvement with Mo and what you've done with Mo and the, Trey and everybody, that's going to go down as one of the greatest stories in Baltimore sports radio history, Baltimore sports history in general. Yep. Maybe years from now, people will still be talking about that, Jeremy. I just want to let you know it's very, very hard.
So I don't know how much people know this, and if I have a second. So the all that stuff with him, I actually with Mo when we did the show from his house. I mean, I sat out in front of his house. I don't know. It felt like 45 minutes. It was probably 15, and just overwhelmed with what happened because I don't know that everybody knew what went into it. So I engineered it from his bedroom. He was lying in bed. He wasn't moving around as much back then.
Right.
And the long and short of it was, it's some of the best radio I think I've ever done, and one of the coolest, roughly 4 hours of radio that I've been a part of. But we didn't book any guests. They all called in. They all wanted to be a part of the show.
Exactly.
And to me, that was one of the coolest parts of it. And truth be told, we had one of our higher ups at Odyssey that was driving down that's from Maryland that heard the show, and he's like, what the hell is this? What is going on? There's a kid on the air. And then the more he listened, he was into it. He emailed my bosses, and it's one of the reasons why I've been given an opportunity to go to the BetQL network and do some national radio shows. It's one of the reasons why I'm on the morning show now because of the success and all the stuff that happened. I mean, I gave him some opportunities, but he's opening doors for me. And anybody that's listened, when I hit $250,000 on DraftKings, it was shortly after all this stuff happened with Mo. So I attribute a lot of my success, but I'd give it all back just for one more day with him. I mean, the kid was just one of the most special people you can meet. So I love hearing people in our industry say what you just said, Gary, because that show means more to me. And every year it comes around, I retweet or repost all the shared stuff from those times. And I just want to make sure people don't forget them.
I don't think they will.
I echo what Gary says. I was listening to it because COVID was happening. We were in my backyard. My cousin Ron Matz, who I know reached out to you, and we were transfixed by it. It was absolutely great. Absolutely great.
One of the most,
and the guests calling in is really the what ended up making it so special is them wanting to be part of Touching Mo.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that I told Mo we can go as long as we want. I got permission from our bosses to extend it as long as we want. Because it was, my show was a 3-hour show back then.
Right.
And then Mo, he said he wanted to keep doing it. His mom's like, you should get some rest. And he's like, no, let's keep. She said, okay, honey, we can keep doing it. And out of nowhere, he's like, we're going into Mover time. I didn't tell him to say that. He had all these little ad-libs. My mic went out. He was ready to host the whole show. He hosted the show, and I assisted. Wow. And for anybody that's had their first chance to drive a radio show, for a 14-year-old kid, it's unbelievably impressive that he had enough to say to kind of carry each segment.
Who called in? I know Buck called in. Adam Jones called in. You've got the whole list.
Yeah, we had some wrestlers that called in too, but Adam Jones called in from Japan.
That was
when we went into overtime, Ray Lewis called in.
That's right.
He got the number and prayed with him on the air, which was really cool. He said John Harbaugh called in. He told John Harbaugh that the Tennessee Titans were more prepared than the Ravens for that playoff game.
That's right.
Yeah, and then Roman Reigns, the wrestler.
Reigns.
But there was other stuff.
Right.
Yeah, there was other stuff that we had set up that a lot of people maybe heard about, but like Stone Cold Steve Austin was calling him every Sunday just to check in with him.
DA was calling Mandalero.
Yeah, DA came down.
Yep.
He drove down on his day off to come spend the day with Mo. So he touched a lot of people the same way that, hopefully we lifted him up and gave him the best life he could possibly have, with all things considered.
You did.
Hey, Jeremy, speaking of wrestling, do you bet on wrestling?
No. I mean, I wish we could because I definitely find it in.
Okay.
But you can bet on some of the wrestling stuff. You can bet on, like, WrestleMania. They'll give you odds. You can't. They'll limit it because there's obviously information out there if they want to. It's scripted, so, but.
Gotcha. Hey, Jeremy,
aren't they all scripted, all the games against me?
Yeah.
Jeremy, final question. Any interesting prop bets tonight for the Ravens Saints?
The things that I would be interested in Deshaun Jackson. I don't know that he's going to play.
Right.
I might take a flyer on his over because I think the Ravens need a guy like that, and people are going to dismiss it because it's Deshaun Jackson at the end of his career, but he's still a speedster that can take the top off the defense.
Exactly.
And I could see him catch, like I even said it, I said, watch him catch 3 for 90 tonight, a touchdown or something good. Because he'll have those games, and he'll have the games where he catches 1 for 18 or 0 catches. But that's been Deshaun Jackson's career. I'm interested to see what they do. But on the flip side, I'd be interested in Kamara's receptions as well, as they've been targeting him quite a bit the past couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. JC, listen, always a pleasure, my friend.
Great catching up, JC.
Thanks, guys. Anytime.
Jeremy Conn from the Big Bad Morning Show, 105.7 The Fan. We'll take a time out here and come back. Griffin, what are we going to do? We're going to wrap it up?
We'll have our tidbits and
right.
we will have our totally tubular. And I think I got one more question I want to ask Stan about the Orioles before we get out of here.
And we'll do that when we return.
Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
What's up, everyone? This is Tyus Bowser, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm back for Season 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show in partnership with Pressbox and Great H Memorabilia. Join us on Tuesday nights throughout the season as I'll be heading all over town with my special guests. And of course, our co-hosts, Glenn and Rita. Or is it Rita and Glenn? What is it? I look forward to meeting you guys and talking a little bit about football and a lot about life. And if you happen to miss the show, you can now catch a replay Friday nights on 105.7 The Fan. Get all of your details for the Tyus Bowser Show right now at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, November 15th at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Glory Days Grill's Oktoberfest menu is now running. It's one of their most popular seasonal menus all year. It features the chicken schnitzel, the Oktoberfest brewer's platter, the brewer's sausage sandwich, the Bavarian burger with a pretzel bun, the cheddar ale soup, the slam dunk pretzels, and the apple cobbler. All of these meals pair well with Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine in or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
Check out Jeremy Conn's daily picks at PressBoxOnline.com as he tries to find you daily winners. And speaking of winners, here's a man who once won a media curling contest, and I don't think anything else. He's Glenn Clark.
No, it's interesting, that question.
Back at you here as we wrap up Glenn Clark Radio here on a Monday morning. Gary Stein along with Stan the Fan, Griffin Bass here as well. Time to do our tidbit.
Before we get to that, Stan, I wanted to ask you a question about the Orioles offseason with as players are opting out and electing free agency. What do you want to see the Orioles get a shortstop? If they do, who are like Xander Bogaerts just opted out. Obviously, Trey Turner's out there.
I'm not interested. The Orioles aren't going to shop that high in the market. They're not going to be paying $25 to $30 million, especially for a position that in 2 or 3 years,
Correa's not going to. Is Correa an option?
I really don't see that happening. We're not paying him more than Minnesota's paying him. He'll probably get. The Dodgers may end up moving on from Trey Turner. Somebody might blow Turner away and pay him more than Correa. I don't know.
I think they're saying the Mets are going to, or the Mets might go heavy on Trey Turner. Apparently.
That would be some player to get.
And
no
then
question about it.
So then pitching-wise with DeGrom and Rodon also opting out, what pitchers? Who's the top pitcher wish list?
I like our chances of acquiring pitching via trade.
Okay.
When I look at the team, I really don't see them coming back with the same combination of Mullins, Hayes, and Mountcastle. There's just not enough on-base percentage there for me. So I'd look for Hayes or Mullins to get dealt along with a prospect to acquire. Maybe Mateo does get dealt. I don't know, because Henderson can play short.
True.
But that's where I come in. I'd be very interested in Justin Turner if the Dodgers don't pick up his $16 million option. But the Dodgers' $16 million is like $4 million for the Orioles, So I think he'll stay a Dodger. But the Orioles have got to address how they get more people on base.
Okay. Hey, before we get to the tidbit, in case you haven't heard, Frank Reich, the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, is no longer fired this morning after a 3-5-1 start. You know what he did with Matt Ryan, bringing in Sam Erlinger to replace him. They've just given up on the year. I mean, they dealt Nyheim Hines to the Buffalo Bills earlier this year. So Frank Reich out of work right now. We'll see what happens with the Indianapolis Colts. All right, Tidbit is brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel. Online sports betting will be starting in Maryland in the next few weeks. PressBox is your source for the best offers and sign-up incentives. Starting now, you can get a $100 pre-registration credit from our friends at FanDuel by going to PressBoxOnline.com/offers. The $100 credit is in addition to the new user promo you'll get when they go live. Just go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers now to get your $100 FanDuel pre-registration bonus credit. That's PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Griffin?
All right, so Stan requested that I have a shorter tidbit because I guess on Friday when Stan was here, I had one. I was asking for like 9 players, and Stan wants a.
I didn't order it. I said
request. Yeah. But so I have 2 short ones then. So yesterday, obviously the big story. Trivia tidbit wise was Justin Fields set the quarterback rushing record for most yards in a single game. So do you know who he passed, or who the next 2 guys on the list are that he passed yesterday after rushing for 178 yards
for rushing yards by a quarterback?
Yes. Who held the record before?
I have guesses. I don't know for a fact, but I would say the 2 guys he passed.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Michael Vick and Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham's a good guess, but he is not the next guy. But Michael Vick is next. Michael Vick was who he record.
How about Fran Tarkington?
Not Tarkington.
So it's obviously not Lamar, right?
Nope. That would be a good guess because he would be right.
It was Lamar.
Yep, Lamar had 152 rushing yards in a game back in October of 2019.
Is Tarkington one of the top 10? Like if this had been named the top 10 guys?
No, he's actually he's pretty low.
It's funny. All of his yardage was just going back and coming up.
Yeah.
It wasn't beyond the line of scrimmage.
Wait, Griffin, do you know who Fran Tarkington was?
I know he was a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Fran Tarkington, you could. Oh my God, he was uncatchable. Not that he was fast. He wasn't fast. He didn't probably rush for a lot of yards, but behind the line of scrimmage, trying to scramble around and make a play.
He changed the game.
He did. He was one of the first, if not the first, mobile quarterback that you just couldn't get him. He was fun to watch. I'll tell you that.
All right. Well, maybe Justin Fields is going to be better than him.
He played for the Giants and the Vikings for most of his career.
Yeah, Vikings for a long time.
Yep.
Used to have Bill Brown was his fullback.
Dave Osborne.
And Tommy Mason.
Oh, Tommy Mason back in the day.
Tommy Mason was my favorite back.
Yeah.
I loved him.
And then one more baseball playoffs related. So 2 players joined a list of what is now 4 players who have hit 15 or more home runs before turning 30 in their postseason career. Who are those 4 players? 2 of them just joined the list this postseason.
I would say Bryce Harper is one of them.
Not Bryce Harper.
Not Bryce Harper. Okay.
Looking for guys who had 15 home runs in the playoffs before turning 30 years old.
Jordan Alvarez?
Not Jordan Alvarez.
15 homers.
And it happened this postseason?
2 guys joined the list, and then the other 2 guys are also relatively modern.
All right, so the other 2 guys are Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle.
No. They're way more modern. I think it's probably due to the fact, I guess, just that there's more playoffs.
There's more playoffs.
Sure.
Yeah, so they are not on the list.
Okay.
They are not on the list.
I'm stumped by this one.
Well, the Dodgers play in the postseason so much.
Think of another team that plays in the postseason a lot.
I would say the Yankees.
More recently.
I would say the Astros.
There you go. So 2 of these guys have been on the Astros.
2 of the guys.
Really?
One of them currently.
Altuve?
Not Altuve.
No.
Another infielder. Two other infielders.
This is ridiculous. It's Bregman.
There you go, Alex Bregman.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
And then a former Astro teammate also hit 15.
Who's now playing for another postseason team?
Not a postseason team, but a former Astro.
Carlos Correa.
Really?
And Alex Bregman. 2 of those.
And so who are the other 2?
The other 2 are 2 left-handed hitters. One was in the current postseason, hitting a lot of home runs.
And it wasn't Bryce Harper.
It wasn't Bryce Harper. That's an excellent guess, though. Left-handed hitter.
Left-handed hitter.
On that team.
Same team as Harper?
Yeah.
And he's a
Schwarber.
There you go. Kyle
Really?
Schwarber.
Kyle Schwarber's got more than 15? Okay.
Well, with the
Cubs,
and the Red
Okay.
Sox. And then one more Hall of Famer, left-handed hitter.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, hit 16 before turning
Reggie
30.
Jackson.
Not Reggie Jackson. Let me think of a good
That's
hint.
a good guess.
Orioles legend. Not really, but he was on the Orioles. Ended his career with the Orioles.
ended his career with the
Tomey.
Yep, Jim Tomey.
Jim Tomey.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So those are the 4 players, 15 home runs before turning 30.
So who
in
has the
postseason.
most postseason home runs in history? Do you have that? Where do
can
you
find
get
out.
these, by the way?
There's this cool website called StatMuse. You can just
Okay.
pretty much enter
Stat
any
Muse?
specific
MUSE?
.com.
That's
Yeah.
wrong.
Okay, so the most postseason home runs belongs to who?
I will tell you,
It's got to be a Yankee.
Well, but not necessarily, because now with all the
not a
games-
Yankee.
Not
Correct
a
division though. Correct division though.
Boston Red Sox. David Ortiz?
Not David Ortiz.
Let's see. Red Sox.
Who were the Red Sox big parent? This is why I'm terrible at this. The older I get, it's not.
So it must have been in the last 15 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Past 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Boy, you got me.
Outfielder. High fived a guy in the stands at Camden Yards one time after making a fly ball catch. Manny Ramirez. Manny Ramirez, 29 home runs,
You know
most in
what?
postseason
The
history.
older we get, the more players pass through. It's hard to keep them all straight.
The memory bank is just
Good guesses, though.
firing.
You guys did a good job. You
Wait,
guys
so
did a good
Manny
job.
Ramirez has the most in Major League Baseball history?
Postseason history, yep.
And how many is that?
29.
29.
Yes. Second on the list is Altuve with 23.
It's amazing that Altuve's got 23 postseason homers. It's amazing that Altuve has any homers. A little 5'4", whatever. Interesting.
That is all I got for
He's
tidbit.
got that weight shift down, man.
He does. All right, totally tubular. Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, that is what we want to do before we get out of here.
All right, so hold on. I've got to do something in order to make that happen. Which
It's
I'm gonna
brought
try
to you
do right
by-
now. It is being brought to you by, I'll tell you in 1 second. It's being brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. More money paid out than anyone around. Make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland.
All right, so the local action, obviously the Ravens and Saints, they'll be on WJZ 13, as you guys said. Also on ESPN and ESPN2. I guess the Manning cast is going tonight, so you can watch for that on ESPN2. Maryland is hosting Niagara at 7, and yeah, as you said,
where
Stan,
can you watch that game?
You should be able to watch it on Big Ten Plus. So like on the app, like the BTN Plus app, you should be able to watch that.
That means
as
I
well.
gotta watch it on my phone or my.
Yeah, or your
tablet.
or your laptop, yeah, wherever.
And am I automatically?
I
mean,
think
you
so.
have
Yeah,
to-
I think you should be able to. I believe that's how BTN Plus is working. So, and then on Flow Hoops, Navy will be taking on William and Mary at 7:30, and then Towson will be hosting UAlbany at 7:00. That's on Flow Hoops. ESPN Plus is going to have Coppin State taking on Charlotte. Maryland George Mason women's basketball. Maryland Eastern Shore at Old Dominion at 7:00. Mount St. Mary's going to West Virginia. At 7:00, those three at 7:00 on ESPN Plus, and then at 8:30 on ESPN Plus, UMBC going down to Tulane. Gary,
Should be a good game, yeah.
Is Perry Clark?
Perry Clark is not at Tulane anymore. He was back there in the year 2000.
Is he now the editor of the Daily Planet?
Absolutely is. That was his second career.
right.
Tulane's pretty good. UMBC's got only 4 guys left from last year, none of their top 5 scorers. So I'm not going to say it's a rebuilding year because I don't think it's going to be a rebuilding year. I think they're actually going to be good, but they need to get all their parts together. I've got their home opener on Thursday night against Penn State York. That'll be a D3 school. And then Monday night, Princeton comes to town. Princeton is the favorite in the Ivy League. They were really good this year.
And they're here next Monday night.
Next Monday night, a week from tonight at the UMBC Event Center, which is now the Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena.
Great.
also-
who's your broadcast partner?
Rick Moreland, UMBC Hall of Famer, great basketball player, was an executive with the Wizards for
Yep.
many years.
That's great.
I had 6 years with John Feinstein. He's moved on now, and
Right.
Rick Moreland's taken over.
How'd they come up with Rick? I mean, because he's an alumni.
Yeah, he's an alum. He loves the program. He follows the program. He's
Great.
got a lot of good
Great
connections.
pick. Yeah.
He's going to be a great guy, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
FS1's doing like a Big East basketball whip around, so you can see Loyola's playing DePaul or Morgan State playing Xavier. You can also use the Fox Sports app, and you can watch those games in full in the app. NBC Sports Washington Plus, Wizards playing the Hornets at 7. NBA TV has the Suns and 76ers, followed by the Cavs and Clippers. NBC Sports Washington has Oilers Capitals. NHL Network will have Blues Bruins. And then Glenn had it highlighted like he wanted me to talk about it. WWE Raw is going to be on the USA Network. But we're all watching the Ravens tonight.
So basically, any game, anywhere, at any time, you can find somewhere
at GlennClarkRadio.com.
In the media landscape.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
It's really amazing.
And then I usually do the non-sports highlights. There's really not a lot tonight, but I think Stan's heading up to New York because he's going to be on Stephen Colbert where they're making the People's Magazine Sexiest Man Alive announcement.
Oh, tonight?
Yes.
And
no, I didn't make it this year.
Oh, you didn't make it?
You didn't make it.
No.
But you were a finalist, weren't you?
I'm going to be in the over 75
category.
The over 75.
Yeah.
So it's about 4 or 5 years away.
Now, did you say that was the sexiest man alive?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Did I ever get considered?
Not that I know of.
Jeremy Conn.
Based on my research.
Jeremy Conn is getting that.
No, that's the biggest, thickest beard alive.
Biggest, thickest beard. That he would probably have a really good chance at winning that. But so the rest at GlennClarkRadio.com.
Now, do you know who ZZ Top is by any chance?
ZZ Top. I should. I mean,
yeah,
why do I?
They're a band that had bigger, thicker beards even than Jeremy Conn. So you want to make a go ahead and take a look. I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait.
ZZ Top. Oh wow. Wow, those are pretty good beards.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're better than JC, but JC gives them a run for the money. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that is it tubular wise.
Okay.
Tomorrow on the program, it'll be me and Glenn. We'll recap the Ravens game. Glenn will probably be exhausted after doing the post game for the Ravens.
Oh, that's right. He's got that tonight.
But yeah, we'll probably have we'll have somebody on to talk about the game with us. And Joe Serpico from Pressbox, our fantasy football analyst, will do a preview waiver wire Wednesday, and Simply the Bets also tomorrow after Glenn Clark Radio.
Well, I've had a blast, Stanley. What about yourself?
I've had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Wonderful time.
Really appreciate the opportunity.
Always a pleasure to broadcast with you.
Yeah, you lying now or what?
No.
Yeah, you true? Okay. Griffin, always good to see you.
Yeah, got to thank our list of sponsors real quick. The area Chick-fil-A's, the FanDuel, of course, Ginsu Grill, Glory Days Grill, Guilford Hall Brewery, Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland, the FanDuel Sportsbook, Pressbox, of course, and their new print edition with Kevin Willard on the cover. Stan the Fan, as always, in his weekly shows on the Pressbox Facebook page, the Toyota Tacoma, and the Tyus Bowser Show, which will be next Tuesday at Mother's.
I'm going to try and get out there for that.
Yeah.
That's Mother's North.
Mother's North.
Mother's North and Timonium.
Thank you. Yes, Mother's North. But yeah, so tomorrow, back at 10, Glenn will be here, me and Glenn.
All right, good to go. Farewell.
How's he possibly going to... who's going to cover for me on Friday? I'm not here this Friday.
I guess me and Glenn are just going to have to brave it without you.
I don't think it's absolutely necessary, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
I can stop?
Yeah.
Doing Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We always enjoy having you, Stan. I mean, we're going to miss you, but I think we will attempt to get by without you.
Do you do the whole show Friday?
I stay for pretty much the
whole
show.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Griffin, see you down the road.
Yes, thank you.
Good luck Saturday, Concordia.
A lot of fun with you guys. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Awesome.
All right, and then always you can check out the show in full on SoundCloud or in the as Glenn usually tosses it to me. Yeah, I'll toss it to you, Stan. You can get it in the greatest hits section of the archives. Yeah, the archives. It's supposed to be a sneeze as well.
You guys have your vernacular, your press box stuff that you
Sure,
do.
I guess you can call it that.
All right, boys.
All right, thank you so much.
See ya.